Perfect. Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic and its community. I am Bobby, also known as Blazin' Bob. And as usual, I'm joined by Mel, aka Melarina. Welcome back after missing last week.
Hello, thank you. What was I out of town last week?
Yes. Yep, you were at the other Christmas event in another state.
Yep, gotta love it.
Yep, gotta make those kids happy. Magic, you know. We're also joined by Mr. No Hit Jerome. How you doing?
What's up, guys? Glad to be here. I've been playing the game so much I don't even know where I am anymore.
Well, it looks like you're in prison from our view here.
Oh, that's just my basement. That's what it looks like when I don't have the streaming setup going.
How's it smell in there?
It's just exactly what you'd think it would smell like.
Perfect. We're also joined by Table Slam. How you doing?
What's up? Also been playing a lot, but I've been spending a lot of time in Moonglade, as you can see.
I've been playing just constantly, nonstop. It's been great, but yeah. All right, guys, I'd like to start the show out by thanking our tank patrons in Thick Lizzy, Croxford, Braxton, Turtle Whale. If you'd like to get in on that, you can go to patreon.com/Warcraft Reloaded or warcraftreloaded.com for the link. Oh, I'd like to mention we stream the show live on twitch.tv/BlazinBob. That's BLAZZINBOB. We have our new Discord servers, been up for a couple weeks now. We encourage you guys to come join us there at warcraftreloaded.com/Discord. Link also in the description. And what else? Oh, a sponsor of the show, Rested XP. Make sure that if you're going to get a guide, you help us out and use code RELOADED at checkout or the link in the description. Also, these guys have a code. What are your codes if you guys would like to support them?
My code is Table Slam. If you use that, you'll get a huge discount.
You get a guide that's only caves.
It's only caves and only for druids, which is kind of weird, but it's fine.
It's fine.
My code is No Hit Jerome, spelled exactly how it sounds.
Perfect. All right, guys, and then we're gonna start the show off with one voicemail. If you guys want to leave a voicemail, it's 816-866-1066 or speakpipe.com/Warcraft Reloaded if you're overseas or out of the United States and don't want to call long distance. Then we're gonna do
a phone, you know.
Oh, you did. Don't you guys have phones, right? And then we're gonna do one email in regards to something we talked about last week, and then we're just going to talk a little bit about what we've been doing, and then we're going to try and get through the news. And I don't know if we will. There's a lot of news, so
a lot of news.
Yeah, we'll try our best, but the last few things might be like, yeah, this and that, yep, and this, and then yep, okay, bye. So we'll just have to see how it goes. But that's going to be the show. So first off, I should have had this ready. And I didn't, but now I do. Here's our first voicemail.
Bob, Mel, wanted to call in and say thanks for always making great podcasts. You guys are amazing. I'm having a great time playing the Season of Discovery. I played a druid some. Wow, amazing. Warrior, I didn't realize how tough they were by yourself. Just again wanted to say thanks for always making these podcasts. You guys are awesome, and I hope everybody listening has a great day.
I thought there was a question in there, but I missed it. Nope. There wasn't.
That's nice.
Well, just thank you.
Nice and wholesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Message for everyone.
Thanks.
I think you was asking Table Slam why Druid is so fun.
Druid is really fun.
It's a great question. I mean, I've always thought it was fun. It's just more fun now.
Have you seen the Boomkins, by the way? They're just ridiculous. They're just crazy.
Yeah, I leveled as Boomkin until literally last night. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go cat at 20, and then I hit 20. I was like, I think I'm gonna squeeze couple more levels out with Star Surge here.
Classic.
It looks so fun.
Classic Go made a new druid. Went at like level, I don't know what, he was really low level. It got Star Surge, and then
Yeah, he got at level 1. He might have hit 2 from Exploration XP, who knows? But he decided he wanted to get Star Surge at 1 because there's nothing stopping you from doing that other than mobs.
It's so awesome. And then he did the whole Sarth TBC Warlock thing where every single keybind button on the screen was Star Surge.
And then he literally rolled his face on the keyboard to Star Surge a boar to death.
It's so good.
Shout out to Classic Go.
Oh gosh.
It's awesome. All right, well, next we have an email. Mel, do you want to read this? It's posted way at the bottom of the notes for an easier read.
Sure. What episode are we on right now? 186?
Yes.
Mm.
Oh, okay. So we talked about it, I guess, more than just because he said Scotty J, and I was like, that was Pummel. But I guess it makes sense since I didn't see the 181. So I guess we've talked about it. Tauren Paladins twice. Sorry about that, bud.
You guys just do so many shows, it's hard to keep track.
He probably wrote this before he listened to the last week's episode, and then he listened to last week's episode and was probably like, That was great. I hope he thought you read it before last week's episode, and then you brought it up again.
It only came in.
Thought...
The date on it's only like, it just came in the 5th. I guess
our episodes are really long.
Yeah. So maybe he's behind.
All right. Says, hello, Bob, Mel, and guests. This email is mainly focused on the discussion topic of faction identity that was being discussed in episode 181, I believe. First of all, when I heard Tauren Paladin, I wanted to puke. I did not go back to listen to this to verify who loved the idea of Tauren Paladins, but I believe it was Scotty J. My take is that the only Horde race that has any claim on playing Paladin is undead. Maybe Tauren are shown to be Paladins later in the lore, but it just seems wrong to me, and I'm nauseous again. With regards to balancing factions, with stuff like Paladins on Horde and Shamans on Alliance, I think it's a pretty easy and cool solution. Make a Zealot class for undead only. It's a Paladin but with decayed spell looks. I'm thinking black consecration with surges of orange and faint light crackling through the spell on the ground. Like when casting Holy Light, make it a gray light and less yellow light. I don't know, you can make it really feel like a fallen paladin just through the look of the spells. That's not a bad idea. Make a runesmith or rune lord. Haven't decided on which name is better for dwarf only. It's a shaman, but totems get replaced by runes. They would glow bright blue and big on the ground. Thinking when Gandalf put rune on Bilbo's door in The Hobbit. Think of them laying flat, but maybe there is a haze above them to identify them from afar or something. Also, instead of ghost wolf form, maybe have ancestral throne. It's still ghosty, but for dwarven spirits, lift you on a throne and carry you at 40% speed. Don't remember what iteration of the game faction balancing was being discussed with, but I thought these were cool ways to balance while still staying themed to faction identity. Love the show. Best, Andy. Thanks, Andy. You're muted.
The Fallen Paladin thing throws me off, though, because Death Knights are Fallen Paladins. It'd have to just be a decayed paladin. I don't know. It does make sense, though. They could have been paladins back in the day.
Yeah, they died, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's really why I think it does make sense for it to be undead. I know, like, in starting in Kata, Tauren were able to be paladins and priests. Everybody forgets that Taurens could be priests, too, at the time. But they made it an extension of Elwynn, or like the Tauren, whatever the Tauren name for Elwynn is, like the, like one of the aspects of the Earth Mother, if you want to look at it that way. So it was like they're viewing it through that lens, not that the Taurens were able to access the holy light in the same way that humans and dwarves do. It's more like a natural, like from nature, like the sort of healing power from that, like the light coming from the moon and the sun. Like I think they called themselves sun walkers or something like that. So it's not, they weren't getting their power from like the holy light. It was like the sun. It's a nature thing. So like that kind of makes sense, I guess, when you look at it like that. But the Forsaken, the undead in Warcraft, are Lordaeron humans that have been raised. And Lordaeron humans were very, they had the paladin orders from Lordaeron and stuff like that. So I think it does make sense for it to be undead because it's literally just, they're all Lordaeron humans anyway. A bunch of them probably were paladins before they were raised. And there is, in game, there is one undead paladin that you can find at Lightsoap Chapel. He was an
How do you
undead.
know all this shit?
I'm a lore guy. Man. I love this shit.
That's awesome.
There is one undead paladin at Lightsoap Chapel, and he was a paladin that was like his conviction and his faith in the light was so strong that it was not able to be severed by the Lich King when he was killed and raised. So like it's not out of the question, and that's literally almost the same story for Death Knights in Wrath, where there was a faction of Death Knights that was able to break free from the Lich King's influence and kept all their powers and stuff. So I don't think it's that out of the question that like since there already is one NPC undead paladin, I don't think it's that much of a stretch to like, oh hey, we found more and you're one of them now, like that sort of thing. So like but I don't think they would necessarily have to have like darkened spells or whatever like that. Like it's because it's still literally they're still paladins. They're just their faith was so strong that not even death could sever their connection from the light, so they can still do all the normal paladin stuff. That's how I would do it anyway.
Well, I would say Metzen can make up whatever lore reason he needs, but we need paladins on the Horde. Avenger Shield is the most broken ability in Season of Discovery. People aren't talking about it. You can't shift out of it. It needs to either be nerfed or we need paladins on the Horde. There's only two options. So I would take paladins. I'll play one right now. So just make up whatever reason you need, but we need paladins today. Okay, and make the spells gray. It's fine with me. Okay, that doesn't seem too hard, but we need them implemented right now, or just remove Avenger Shield. One of the two.
So, like, just to keep it realistic, because
that is realistic.
So basically, the way this is when I did the interview with the devs recently, in mine, I specifically asked them, is the reason every change that you're making that's outside of Classic Era all attributed to runes because you're planning to move us to Classic Era afterwards, and you're on the same client and making changes across the two clients without the runes is extremely hard, because runes, they just don't have them accessible in Era. So therefore everything else in is like basically everything but the runes, the items and stuff is all Classic Era. So it would have to be something in a rune to make the change, but you could maybe just be able to make a turncoat paladin or a turncoat shaman, and yeah, they would be a horde race, but it would be something that they could do pretty easily within the confines. Now, the starting area would still have to be, the main, and if you wanted the lore to be really good, people would have to be really mean to them. Like every quest giver would have to, instead of being nice, they'd be like, all right, go get this, you dirty horde, or something.
They'd have to add the spit command back in, and that would take a couple days probably.
They could maybe do a thing where when you first enter Stormwind as a horde paladin, you have like rotten fruit thrown at you, and the guards are really mean. Oh wait, no, that's Death Knights.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that maybe they could do, but it is really weird. Like I know everybody wants the faction identity, but like if faction identity is just these two different classes, I mean, the hunters are exactly the same. Like, the warriors are exactly the same. Yeah, you've got like your racials, but that's not an entire class. So it is very weird to have to fight
is true.
Bubble
Why
all
is it,
over
like,
again.
There's only one different class on each side, right? Like every other class is the same on
Yep,
each side.
besides racials, yep.
So
And yet they've
I don't know.
accidentally made the most broken and annoying class Paladin. So I'm just saying.
Do
I think
you
it'd be
think
enough to just nerf Avenger Shield. Like, let it be dispellable, like the effect on it, the days, let it be
I have a
dispellable,
list
let
of
it be
demands. Okay, if they're not going to
shiftable.
give us Paladins, they need to do the following: nerf Avenger Shield, add Master Spell next phase. Okay, and that's it. That's fine. We're good.
Honestly, I don't think adding Master Spell is even that big of a stretch. Like some
No,
other
I
stuff
think
they've
it'll
added,
happen,
like
and I think
they've-
Paladins will be miserable, just like I dreamed.
I think the thing that was most surprising to me is that like it's a slow effect, not a daze. And it's a slow that it's not shiftable. Like normally druids can shift out of roots and out of slows. Even like there are poisons and diseases in the game that druids can shift out of because it has a slowing component to it.
Listen, we don't need to empower druids anymore. Can we
We need
just
to
like get
empower
off
druids
that
and depower
bandwagon?
Paladins.
Because druids can already get out of almost everything. So
Yeah, that's like our thing. We're not good at anything else. We're good at escaping.
well.
I guess the question is, do you want to change anything about like the original idea of Classic, which is Paladins nobody can remove the bubble and druids can shift out of anything. That's the two ideas. And there's got to be a way to maintain those ideas, I think. So maybe no Master Spell.
I hate the shifting stuff personally.
I'm all for Master.
I love the shifting stuff.
And
You're
I
a rogue.
play
That's why you
Druid.
hate it.
No, I play Druid also, but I think it's always been like irked me. It was just like, okay, dude. But
well, like it's not about like you're looking at it wrong. Don't look at it as like, oh no, they got out of my thing. It's like, okay, now they can only do that 3 more times before they're out of mana and they can't do it anymore. And now I've got them.
yeah, because I guess the caster ones usually don't spec into the like cheaper shifting, and then Feral just doesn't have as much mana.
Yeah.
Do you guys think shamans are strong like paladins are strong? Like, do you think
In different
Alliance
ways.
is sitting over there being like, we need shamans, this is ridiculous?
Not right now, but in the future, yes. But right now, no.
Yeah, they will
It's definitely
be.
a PvE versus PvP thing. Like paladins are a lot more annoying than shamans are in PvP, and shamans are stronger when it comes to like tanking anyway. Like shaman threat is bonkers. Paladin threat is like, it's all right, you know.
Is it really? Okay, but do paladins have a rune? Do paladins and warriors have a rune that like gives them the 6%?
No, they don't
reduction?
need it. It's the threat gen stuff. Like a paladin can have a talent and rune setup that gives a lot more AoE threat or a lot more survivability. Like they have to choose between the two basically. Whereas shamans are just always like giga threat.
So there's no rune that for paladins or warriors that gives 6% crit immune and all that. See, well, that's the problem. Rogues and warlocks and chamois all get that rune, but like the thing you don't look at in that rune like thing is it says threat is increased massively. I haven't seen like anybody be able to take away threat on one target, period, from a shaman, rogue, or warlock because of that threat. Like, I think that's tuned really high. Like,
it could be, yeah, but like, you know, there's a few things to keep in mind. Like, we're only level 25. Who knows what is going to be added for 40? Like, bear threat is kind of bad. Also, we also get a 6% crit suppression rune, but like, it's not really that necessary. The main reason to take that rune is the damage reduction, but like, bears can't even use that to tank with because we take so much less damage already, and then with the rune having another 20% damage reduction, we don't gain enough rage from getting hit to be able to sustain a good threat rotation.
oh damn,
So,
I
like,
didn't think about that either.
Bears even have to use wild strikes just because they will take too little damage to be able to get the rage gen they need for good threat. So it's like there's got to be something that's coming at 40 that's going to help with threat for the classes that are kind of struggling with threat right now. Like I'm not averse to tanking. I started my original druid to be a tank, and I don't want to tank at 25 because I know that my threat gen isn't going to be good enough to keep stuff off of people.
It's a bummer.
Then again, I haven't actually tried to do it. I just don't think it would go very well.
Oh, well, yeah, so I don't know. It is a little weird, but it is classic to have them separate. But it was one of the things that we always bitched about in original vanilla constantly was just how do you balance the two of them, because no matter what you do, the other side's going to say that class is overpowered and we don't have it. So
it's definitely delicate for sure, because like you can't just make shamans and paladins basically the same thing as each other, just with like a different spell effect or whatever, because then it's like, how is that actually faction? It's not actually faction identity if it's just a faction specific class that is literally just the same thing as the other faction's faction specific class. Like there's got to be something that's different about it. They've like, otherwise it's just the same thing, and why bother? So like I get it from a balance perspective, it's difficult, but also I think it's interesting. Like even if it's not fully balanced all the time, I think it is interesting to have that difference between the factions, because when you look at stuff like speedrunning, there are certain things that horde speedrunning guilds will do that alliance speedrunning guilds can't do or won't do, and the same in reverse. So I think it's just interesting from that side of things when you're like at the turbo min-max scale, that it's cool that there is a difference between the two.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion though.
Yeah, one of them has 3 health bars and the other is a normal class. So yeah, they're very different.
One of them can hold AoE threat. The other one has Divine Storm, I guess.
One of them is a normal class, and the other one is the most annoying thing I've ever seen in my life. So, yeah.
Bubble's horrible, dude. Bubble's always been
So
horrible.
awful. And by the time you get through it, their 4 friends have shown up because they've never fought solo in their lives. And then by the time you even if you get through the bubble and their friends aren't there, then they have lay on hands.
Yep.
Yeah.
But if you can get them to blow all that stuff and you can get away, you try again, and then you got them for sure.
Yeah, then they're
By
just
then, the 7 rogues they're playing with are showing up. So, I mean, good luck.
Says the druid. If you can get him through all that stuff and get away.
Yeah,
and
meanwhile,
come
they have
back.
the 20% speed buff and you don't. So,
No.
well, I mean, they have boon because they never die.
I mean, he's not exactly wrong.
It is hard to get away from
Loves
Paladin though. They just Avenger shield me, which I can't shift out of, and then they catch up.
Yeah.
The Rune Lord was an interesting idea. I mean, runes do make a little more sense with druid or with dwarves, I guess, but
kind of, but also like there are dwarf shamans that already exist as shamans, like named as shamans right now in vanilla. They're just at Airy Peak in the hinterlands. They're the Wildhammer dwarves. They're shamans.
Oh.
So like you don't even have to change the class. It's just okay, yeah, now the Wildhammer dwarves they've joined the alliance now. There you go.
Does that mean I get a flying mount at level 25?
That'd be sick. I mean, like their like spirit form or whatever instead of ghost wolf could just be like ghost griffin. You can't. I mean, it looks like you're flying. You're not actually above the ground though. Like maybe I don't know. I don't know what the significance is. Wolves for horde shamans.
Yeah. I didn't either.
ghost.
Well, I
don't
recently
know.
read all
Or-
the books or all the first like 5 books, so I know way too much of the lore now. The Wildhammer dwarves have a hammer they can throw at people and it comes back like a boomerang. That would be fun.
Oh.
That
Yeah,
would be fun.
if you ever played any Warcraft 3, like you can build Griffin riders that are dwarves and they have that ability to chuck a hammer. It's pretty tight. It's like Thor.
Like Thor, yeah.
I think Thor ripped it off, honestly. That seems like probably what happened.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, thank you for your email. And anybody want to send something in, send it to wcrpodcast@gmail.com. All right, guys, what have you been up to in freaking classic Season of Discovery, Wrath of the Lich King? What you guys been doing?
Sorry, what was that last one?
Wrathful is king.
Oh yeah.
Who
You guys go
wants to go?
I'll roll for it.
Well,
Oh
I've
my
been playing
gosh.
Season of Discovery. I got all 12 runes on the Priest, which was expensive because
Mhm.
there's some difficult runes towards the end that cost a bunch of gold.
Mhm.
And yeah, just logging into Wrath twice a week, and just doing a run so I don't leave, end up getting kicked out of my guild. But yeah, just feeling awful that I don't have more alts because it seems like everybody I know has like 11 alts that they're playing right now, and they're like, "Oh, you want to come do a BFD?" And I'm like, "No, I can't. I can only do one every 3 days." I don't know what to
Only.
tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got 2, and I feel behind.
Does
Well,
anyone else get confused? Like I need to figure out exactly when everything resets, and it's different every week, right? Because it's every
Very,
3
very
days.
confusing.
So I'm always like, I don't know. Can I sign up for this one, or do I need did I sign up for 2 that were in the same lockout? I'm so confused.
If you have one of those, there's a few add-ons that will say when like lockouts happen, and the BFD lockout is literally exactly the same as the Zul'Gurub and AQ20 lockout. They're all 3 of those reset at the same time. So if you have something that'll show you when ZG or AQ20 resets, then that's also when BFD will reset.
yeah,
All right.
kind of like
I'm gonna
the
need the add-on
calendar.
later.
Yeah, the add-on would help me a lot. I'm gonna need the add-on that does the thing where it's not an add-on. It was a week or I was using it in Wrath before Lich King because I was running like 7 TOGCs, and it just would come up and show you all the different stuff for each of your characters while you were on one character. It was really nice.
And that is why playing on one account is a lot more fun than playing on like 4, because you can do stuff like that. Where all these people with like 3 accounts right now, they're gonna not be able to keep track of anything.
It's hard. I've got 2 accounts, but I had like 4 on one account and 3 on the other account. So it still was very helpful for me in that regard. But
yeah.
for the people that have them all on one, it makes it a lot easier. But also, we can do a lot of things with extra accounts that other people can't do solo. I can boost myself. I can go stealth run bosses for my alts myself. It's kind of nice.
True.
Yeah, so me and Jerome are in a group now that's going to try to speed run. So I'm excited about that. We got some pumpers in there, and once we get our little bit more gear, we're going to be pumping. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it looks like it might
run
be
with
more
those
of
the
a
other day,
parse
right?
run for a while, but it looks good. They're pushing the limits, and yeah, everybody's being forced to run runes they don't want to run, so we can do more damage, which is good
You,
outside of their comfort zones.
hey, but you did good. You did good.
Yeah, there's a whole new meta we could talk about later, where priests have to run a weird rune they don't want to run anymore, but
What rune?
you have to run homunculi for parsers so you can do more damage, but your number 1 healing spell is Prayer of Mending,
Prayer of Mending.
which is the same exact slot. So it's very frustrating.
It's very frustrating when I raid and I put in Prayer of Mending and then I am out in the world questing and a horde comes or an alliance comes up on me and I'm like, oh, I can't put my homunculi on them.
Yeah, and they buffed that. We can talk about that later, but boy, that's a great ability now.
It's
Gosh,
yeah.
good.
It's like it's weird because it's kind of like almost
Cheating
necessary.
feels like cheating.
Yeah, well, it feels necessary, and that's what they didn't want, But like Wind Fury's necessary. Like it's a lot of things. King's necessary.
It's not necessary for PvE.
It's starting to become that way for
parsing for
raids in a way
PvE.
that was clearly not intended.
Yeah,
Where
I think
you
it's
feel like
more
you're
about
hurting your group by
parsing
not
in
running
PvE,
it,
though.
which is really annoying.
Yeah, well, when Shadow Priests get a little better, maybe people will bring Shadow Priests instead, and then that's what it was intended for,
I hope so.
But dude,
It's kind
I
of
don't
hard to
wanna be a
believe that they
Shadow
wouldn't like
Priest.
foresee some of these issues. Like they had to have known. Like we've had what almost 4 years, 3.5 years of classic now. Like the devs have seen
Listen,
the
back
most
off my
degenerate stuff.
homunculi, okay?
I'm
Back
saying
off
like
then.
they should have
I like
seen
little
that it was
mini-me's.
going to be something that non-DPS priests were going to bring, and then people would just not bring DPS priests. Like they were trying to buff homunculi so that DPS priests would get brought, but they didn't buff it enough, and now people are for sure taking now. All that really did was secure priest healers at least one raid spot in every single BFD.
Which they were already secured in.
Yeah. So
I'll
I
take
don't know.
double security. That's fine.
Yeah, right? Don't try to kick us out of these raids.
Yeah, well, I wasn't
Some reason to
exactly
take me.
I wasn't exactly planning to get in a good, like, you know, eventual speed running group, but I somehow lucked into Jerome, Sarth, Pummel, like pumpers. And I was like, shit. Well, I can't have skinning now. I need engineering. So I immediately went and started, like, I want to work on my druid, but like I was like, I need all of this stuff now. And then Jerome was nice enough to give me a list of 1 billion consumes and things that I need to bring, swim potions, all kinds of good stuff. And so I like worked up engineering, and I was like, shit, I'm out of money. And I was like, what's the best way, fastest way at the moment to make cash? You know, I'm making cash through other ways consistently, but I needed a lot of cash quickly to get all the consumes I was going to need. So,
And that's when Bob pulled out his credit card.
that's what okay. So I did the second fastest way to get gold, and that's questing. And so I did a bunch of quests, and then was able to buy everything. It was ready to go. The only thing I didn't have was Darkmoon Faire, but felt pretty good. I didn't die, but I didn't do as much damage because of making sure I didn't die. I need to find that nice in between. Like, I was really watching threat, making sure, like, you know, because we're a new group together, like just going right in and pumping can oftentimes mean death. But it did sometimes, but when Vanish and stuff wasn't up, I was like, But I'll get there, and so I'm pretty
There's a lot to learn about
excited.
min-maxing for sure. Like you're going to learn stuff about min-maxing that you never would have thought of. Like, oh my God, really? That's a thing.
But I do think you're right to start by trying not to die the whole time and then work from there.
Mhm.
Great way to start.
Yep. Yeah, that's the most important part, because buffs, huge, most important part. Keep those like living. Sometimes, honestly, even this was something Ale told me back when he was doing stuff in vanilla with Onslaught. I'm like, dude, the Lionheart helm is the best helm. Like, but he's like, yeah, but the tier 3 gives you way more armor and health, and for speed running, this is very important. And I was like, oh, so, you know, those types of things, you know, min-maxing your exact highest DPS, like if that item doesn't have stamina on it, it might not actually be the best to speed run, but the best to parse, you know? So
it's a whole different meta.
Yeah, but I'm excited to do it because I've never done anything like that. And I want to dress to impress and have everything done. So I'm pretty excited to be involved in that. So the rogue is pretty much completed. Tuesday, I'll have rank 3, get my cloak. And then by the end of tonight or early tomorrow, I should have my honored in Warsong Gulch, and then I can still get more Warsong Gulch and have gear for later phases. But basically, the rogue's ready to go and has like everything that he could get from dungeons and stuff done. So,
well, this weekend's the time to do Warsong rep because it's Warsong weekend. So
I know I tried to get a pre-made all last night and couldn't find shit. I was just like, damn it, guys! You realize this is the weekend to do it.
Yeah, there was all these awesome plans. People were like, we're going to Warsong all weekend. Didn't see a single group. And so I did the second best thing, which is you make a group of like 4 people and you try to beat premates, which is even more fun.
Yeah, I like was logging out right when I wish I had seen you earlier because I would have loved to have joined and been your number 5.
You're always welcome for that.
But yeah,
you guys
playing with OG Jeffrey and he was just like nuking everybody with his boomkin. It's just like that looks more fun than playing a pre-made.
Because people sleep on boomkins. They're like, oh, it's just a druid, whatever. He's probably healing. Then they don't see him healing. They're like, oh, he's casting? All right, yeah, we're going to ignore that guy. And all of a sudden, they get nuked in the face with a Star Surge crit. They get
The
crit
only
for
class I
500.
see that can solo a flag carrier is Boomkin, and I've seen it happen multiple times, so I fully believe in them.
It's pretty good burst. Like you can send a Wrath and then a Star Surge immediately, and usually they land at the same time, depending on how far away you are. And you follow up with a Sunfire, and if that also crits, like if all three of them crit, that can easily take somebody down to like definitely below half health.
And it's really visually hard to see that it's even happening to you, so you're just like losing health, and you're not even sure why.
What's going on?
And then you can
Oh,
also
man.
the thing I think Classic Go made a video about this, a real short video. Some of the runes have like text in them that says like benefits from talents and whatever that affect this other spell. If you get improved Starfire in the balance tree, which is the one that gives Starfire a chance to stun enemies, Star Surge benefits from that talent. So you can only get 1 point in that talent, but you have a 3% chance to stun somebody for 3 seconds with a Star Surge if you have that
See,
talent.
this is why we're here. That's great information. My Boomkin's ready.
Oh man,
Done.
wow.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's just cool. We're fighting all kinds of different stuff. I'm enjoying PvP and on the rogue tremendously, but I'm not doing the backstab spec. I'm doing just regular DPS spec with a dagger in the offhand, sword in the main hand, and I'm using the bleed, which works really good on high armor targets, whereas backstab does not. It still works better like now than it will in the future because plate, isn't in yet. But like I'm using Saber Slash, and then like the backstab rogues have to take the slaughter from the shadows, but then you don't get quick shot. And quick shot is a ranged slow. And in group PvP, I tell you, dude, I'm pretty sure I'm single-handedly responsible for like us killing so many people because hunters try to run off. I like slow him. Then 3 of us get right on him and he's done. Right. And like, I don't have to go into stealth. I don't have to do anything fancy, nothing. Like I just freaking, and I have it up every 10 seconds and it's a monster of an ability. And if you get a slow gun or bow, it does a significant amount of damage, dude. So like somebody runs off and I shoot them, before they run. You can shoot on the run. It looks so fucking cool. And then I use of course, backstab rogues use this too, but the ranged stun. But it's just like, I'm having a blast doing it. And I'll just like, you said, talking about soloing flag carriers. I've killed so many priest flag carriers by opening with Garrote, Saber Slash, slow them. Then when I stun them, they're just full bleeding, like out. And like, I'm just like wailing on them. And
Oh yeah, rogues can kill priests is one of the only things I died to on priest.
Freaking
it's
hate
weird.
rogues.
Yeah, they're
That's
really,
why-
really frustrating.
In
Yeah.
our developer interview, I asked them to remove rogues from the game.
What did they say? Is that
Clay
maybe?
said, I appreciate the feedback, but probably not.
Clay said
Well,
he would
there's
take
hope,
it
at
to the
least.
team. He said he'd
Yes,
take it to the team.
Yes. Yep. I'm like, we just delete them. Just delete them from PvP. Just
If
don't
they
allow
didn't
them.
exist and paladins didn't exist, priests would be so perfect. It'd just be
OP.
perfect.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the only thing holding us back are rogues and
Yeah.
paladins. But I could deal with paladins if I didn't have rogue. I think rogues are so frustrating because you just can't do anything, right? Like you're just like at least with the
Helpless.
paladin, like I can be like, fine, you get away from me, but you're not gonna murder me, right?
Well,
But like,
you haven't PvP'd at 25 yet. We're not in that spot yet. Like we don't have cheap
Whatever.
shot. We don't have kidney shot. We've got the new stun.
You will be in that spot though, and that's already annoying.
it's coming.
I can't wait. I almost want to
We
make
can all
another
see
rogue.
it.
I think it's
Maybe
less
they
about
should
the
just-
rogues as a class. It's more about the type of people that play rogues. Bob.
True.
This is true. It is
Me
a certain
and
type of person.
Simonize are super nice people. I don't know what you're talking about.
I just saw
Listen,
Simon Eyes
SARS
camping
too?
Ratchet for like 25 hours. He must have killed 500 people.
Did he really?
Yeah. He's teleporting around. He
Simon.
knows all the guard placements.
They were probably all honored to do. They're like, oh my god, I can't believe Simonize. Oh my god, this is the best day of my life.
The best was when
No, they're trying
somebody
to get
tried
to
to kill
Grisby the Rune
Sarth.
Vendor. He keeps one-shotting them at Grisby the Rune Vendor,
Oh
who is a
man,
very horde-focused NPC. I do like that.
I saw him in guild chat the other day being like the Ratchet Defense Force, and I
Yep.
was like, oh, I guess RDF made its way into SoD after all.
Oh my god.
That's funny.
That's pretty good. Yeah, the one I can't respect, and I even have friends that do it, but I don't respect I respect you, but not this practice. And that's on Horde side, Hordes going to Arathi High Highlands and PvPing in the areas where the mobs are green to them but red to Alliance, and then Alliance players that go over to Hillsbrad and camp where the mobs are green to them and red to Horde. You guys should be ashamed, and there's no honor in it. It's just, yes, it is very effective. I'll give you that. But you should just go to bed feeling like you're pretty much a bottom feeder.
Those Alliance that sit next to the guards in PvP and Hillsbrad are just the worst. The target dummies always resist because they're just so high level.
Dude,
That's faction identity right there.
It's been I've seen so many Horde and Alliance doing that crap, and it's just like, okay, dude.
The second you start PvPing them and they run back to their guards instantly.
Mhm.
Oh my
Like,
god.
I've never considered doing that. Never.
Right?
Oh man.
Well, we'll
There's
get our
no
comeuppance
honor in the way you fight.
Yeah, we'll get our comeuppance in phase 2, and we can just run back to Gromgol.
Oh, that is a real advantage.
Yeah, because they won't have you think Blizz will put in a flight path for him? No, because it'd have to be a rune, right?
They just, I mean, was that portal there before? That portal to
Oh,
CFD?
true. They could add a portal. That portal's bullshit too, man. Like,
Yeah, that I've
like
tried to camp
Willie
it,
was
but they
on the
always pull the
show
guards.
and was like, well, no, I think you want me to walk that far? I was like, yes.
Yes.
There'll be stuff for you later. Like, I'm sure. But if like the portal should at least like take you like to where you still have to walk. Although
Horde Warlocks and Horde Druids have to run all the way to the Tower of Althalax for the Warlocks and the Northern Wetlands for Druids. If Horde members of those classes have to go that far to get a rune, then Alliance can walk to BFD.
Yeah, and where's my portal to the boggling roots? I mean, it takes forever to farm those.
The boggling roots.
Yeah, I have to get on the ship and then death run over there. It takes forever. Then I have to steal them all from the lobies that are questing.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
it might be, I mean, it might cut down on some toxicity of groups getting in fights on the way to the dungeon, but I thought that would be kind of neat. Like, but it is like we talk about, like, that's a bottleneck right there to get through. But it'd be funny if you had to be in like general and being like, guys, we need everybody to come because there's like, 10, like, there'd be raids packing up. You'd finally be able to make a push through, right? But it would be like a fight to get in with whoever controlled the tunnel at that time. Be kind of interesting.
Oh, that's what I want. I want to see that all day.
I'm loving. Yeah, I'm loving being on a PvP server again.
Fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't think I would like it, but I do a lot.
dude. Oh, I am like the first time I got ganked, Mel was like just off work and she's walking in. I'm like, baby. And she's what? Like I scared her and I was like, I just got ganked. It was awesome.
Right? I was like, okay, first of all.
And now I'm walking back to my corpse. And it was a player that killed me.
I went to Ratchet and Simonize was like, absolutely not.
I was fishing and Table Slam 2-shot me on a feral druid.
That's my
Come
wreckage.
on.
If you
Yeah,
think
the
that would
server-
be the lowest of the low, killing someone during the wreckage spawn. Oh my goodness.
I mean, that's the time to kill him, though.
This is
Can't
true.
believe you.
I can't believe you.
RP as a fisherman. I'm very serious about my fishing.
Do you have a big iron fishing pole?
Not yet.
No,
Not
he's
on,
not that serious
not
about
on
fishing.
NA.
All talk and no fish.
But on EU,
You
was
do
one
have
of
it on
the
EU?
on EU, all you got to do is, if you're a horde anyway, is you go to Shadowprey and you aggro one of the clacker thingies and you just run it to the guards and they kill it, and then you can go loot the trap. Easy.
I might have
There's
to do
like
that.
15 gold right now, so I'm just waiting.
Oh, just buy one.
Yeah,
Probably from me.
yeah, probably from you.
But even the server that I play on in EU is a PvP server, and it's been a ton of fun. Like, it's usually like I'll be doing something, like I'll be going to like some dungeon to like sell a ring or sell pants or whatever it is. And on the way there, somebody would be like, "Yo, I'm getting ganked. Can you come help me real quick?" And then when I was gonna go do some ring runs, instead I'll go to Hillsbred Fields and like escort some guildies who are questing, and then probably die a couple times. But like, there's like an impromptu little PvP battle at a questing area, and then like people are at first they're annoyed that they can't quest, but then they're like, well, I guess I might as well get some honor. Like,
Yeah, I mean, there's always, if you really don't want to do it, you can lair. And I know some people are like, oh, that's lame. But if you really don't want to deal with it and you're getting ganked over and over again, you can lair. But it leads to the opportunity for something really cool. You could have friends that are close that come over to help. You know, it can turn into a lot of fun. And your min-max mind goes crazy because you think you're not getting anything done, but you're having fun. Like, so.
But you are getting some done. You need honor anyway. You got to get honored with Warsong. You got to get rank 3 for your stuff. Like,
rank 3 is a little too easy, though. Like, it's a little too easy.
I think it's just because they basically removed rank 1. Like, you go straight from rank, you get like 1 HK and you go straight to rank 2. So they just removed rank 1 for, I'm assuming, just for phase 1.
I do look forward to being able to rank next phase. I hope it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, I look forward. Like, we should all be able to get it. Like, if we want to.
You don't have to like fight. It's like that weird like toxicity from original like Vanilla Classic, where like if you wanted to rank, basically you ranking meant that somebody else couldn't, and now that's not the case.
I loved it so much.
And you had to like talk. There was a lot of toxicity with people. Like
the bracket breakers,
jumping brackets, and like it was
like communication borderline to the point of almost collusion, to where like, okay, it's this guy's turn to get rank 14, because only a certain amount of people get rank 14. You could like sneak people in if you like at the last minute got in, and then
those people were blacklisted afterwards. If you try to sneak it in, that was not acceptable.
There was a way to do it where you wouldn't screw anybody else out of getting it, though. I can't remember exactly.
Yes, you had to have the exact same amount, right? So you'd have to like, or very close, right? It was very, very close amount. And if somebody messed that up, it would be a disaster.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was basically you had to essentially collude with people. Like, all right, it's this person's turn to get rank 14 this week, and then other people would purposely not. They would stop at a certain level of honor, so that the person whose turn it was to get rank 14 could get it. And it's like, I get it that's like people figured out how to like kind of game the system, but that was never how the system was designed to run. And that's part of why they changed the ranking system in Era. And it's just, if you like, literally the entire server could get rank 14 all at the same time if everybody has the amount of honor for it.
I do like that change. I'm excited to see how that plays out.
Dude, in chat, if that's true, all right, listeners, this has not been verified, but supposedly Hydra got a dishonorable kill the other day because of homoculi. That
did it get too close to a civilian unit or something?
Jesus.
I believe it. My homunculi just go off and just aggro guards. They aggro anything they see. They keep in combat forever, too.
Except for when I target something. Okay, can we talk about this? When I target something and they're next to me, they don't move unless I like move into the mob. But if we're just chilling, they're just
they have some of the, I'm not trying to flame anyone, but they have some pretty questionable AI that feels like it was from maybe a couple generations ago.
Yeah. They remind me of brownies from Willow. I got the baby. You just don't know what they're gonna do.
They're very cute.
They are, and so are brownies.
I had a good reference for that too.
I still like to pronounce it wrong because I think that one of the first times, I don't know if it was Scott or if it was somebody else, it was one of the British homies pronounced it homuncully, and that's after I heard that I was like, okay, that's how I'm saying it from now on.
No.
I don't remember who that was. It might have been Frosted Out. There was somebody doing a Season of Discovery like walkthrough, and they said it just completely wrong, and I loved it. It might have been Hydra, actually.
They also remind me of the leprechauns from Darby O'Gillis and the Little People. Darby O'Gillis and the Little People.
This sounds terrible because I play a priest, but each of them has a different weapon, right? And the ones, each weapon determines their debuff. Is that correct?
I believe so.
So you could theoretically like kill one of them and you would no longer have to worry about that debuff. Something like that.
Yeah, but nobody really knows which one to kill now.
I have terrible tech though that really ruins priests, and people are starting to catch on. Target dummies only cost like 3 silver to make, and they just completely break the homunculi. By the time that the homunculi gets out of that target dummy, they don't even know where they are anymore. And you just like the difference between PvPing with or without target dummy is so stark because the homunculi just completely breaks when you use it on them.
Or even doing BFD. Like we've been having this problem with our little speedrun group where we do the skip to in the room with the water and the bridges, and we go jump up over on the right side, but not everybody's figured out the wall jump yet. So we end up somehow pulling the entire room, and we've done it both times, but we've been able to survive it completely because we just stagger training dummies.
Yeah, target dummies. I remember when hardcore people figured out target dummies, and I was very late to that party. I wish I could go back in a time machine and just use it on every hardcore character because I would have never died ever.
Well, and guess what? There are currently in the game, if it's just like hardcore was and Season of Mastery, there is Christmas target dummies.
No, they were Valentine's Day dummies.
Oh, was it Valentine's Day?
That long.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, it was Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
Damn.
the love pool.
Yes.
Yeah, the love pool.
All right. Well, that's something non.
Also, solo self-found in like a month or two, and that'll be even more target dummies.
Yeah,
he's going to play an all engineering build.
I mean, more yet more alliance bias because I mean, there's you're talking about like discovering target dummies. There's like 2 levels to it too. There's people who discover target dummies like, oh shit, this is really good for hardcore, and then there's people that discover that paladins can bop target dummies.
What?
Yeah, paladins can bop. So like,
Shut
up. Remember in Hardcore All Stars when Calamity's team, CNX Circus, they did the Cathedral 1 pull. Calamity used an invisibility potion and then got into an evade spot on top of one of the candlesticks right near the altar at the front of the cathedral, and everything aggroed. And they started to count down until they would reset, and then she bubbled, jumped down, and then Ellen Degenerate ran in, dropped the target dummy, and then Calamity had a macro that would target the target dummy and bop it. And she did that, and the target dummy survived for a pretty long time, like for the duration of bop. And in that time, they were able to like start their AOE and stuff like that. And people were using that in Ulduar in Wrath on Algalon. You could use a target dummy and bop it to soak a Cosmic Slash.
Where was I during all of this? Was I just asleep?
We used to target dummies on Algalon, but just timed it correctly.
Yeah, you don't necessarily need to bop them in order for it to soak a Cosmic Slash, but if you do that, then it won't die immediately. Like if he does a normal melee before, like you don't have to time it as exactly. If you bop it, you drop the target dummy, bop it, and then you guarantee the Algalon is on the target dummy for the Cosmic Slash.
Damn.
See, that whole thing you laid out with the Paladin is so insane. If they allow Scarlet Monastery to exist in this next phase, then that'll be the way everybody does that. They'll just 1 pull Scarlet Monastery. That'll be amazing. Or just, 2 or 3 pulls.
Yeah, just cycle dummies because, like, obviously we're not self-found in this. So, like,
right, we have far more resources than they did in the hardcore tournament. So it should be even easier to do that and you could just do that for 20 hours straight.
Just bring 2 paladins and however many, you only really need 2 NGs then because, bop has a cooldown. But, like, you could cycle bop. You could cycle target dummy bops twice and then not even have to worry about. You could probably kill the entire cathedral before the second target dummy's bop runs out.
I need to look at the timestamp of this. So the devs saw that then and allowed it to stay in the game. Like that shouldn't be in the game.
But
pretty
you know what?
vanilla,
It shouldn't
That
be
should have never been in the
That just
game.
got removed. Apparently, you can't go into Scarlet Monastery Armory or Library anymore. Apparently, they turned that off recently. So maybe they
Oh.
won't even have that in for the next phase. That's a debate. I really need some inside info to plan my leveling route.
Huh. Okay. Well, there are a handful of devs that I know listen to the podcast. So guys, can we get the Paladin thing fixed? Because
Get
we're
the
gonna
Paladin thing
bitch
fixed.
even
Tell us
more
if we're
about
allowed to
Paladins.
level in Scarlet Monastery next phase, because I don't really want to quest.
I'm gonna need dungeons because I freaking
quests.
I've been doing all my quests on my rogue. I'm gonna have to dungeon grind to
seems
at
like
least
they turned
30.
off Scarlet Monastery Library and Armory now, so
Is it library and armory or armory and cathedral?
I don't know which
And
ones they turned off, but they didn't turn off Graveyard from what I read. I haven't confirmed it myself.
I hope they don't turn off graveyard. That's where I get grave moss.
Yeah,
I was about to
they
say,
need the
that's where
Grave Moss
A lot of
farm.
people get grave moss.
And it's not really that long of a run. I was gonna say it's a long run because I'm used to being Alliance, but it's not a long run. So just don't take it away. Don't take it away. Oh, but yeah, I don't know. I've been having a blast. Mel, you want to talk about anything you did? Mel hit 25 and did her first her first BFD. She healed like a rock star.
Well, not really.
Did we expect
I ran
anything
out of mana. I did run out of mana a lot, but I had mana pots, but not the expensive ones because I'm broke. Because I'm tailoring and enchanting, so I don't make any money. I always do this to myself. Every time.
You're gonna make a lot of
like,
money.
I always do it to myself. Where at the beginning I don't make any money because I have to disenchant all the greens, and I have to buy thread and rods. It's fine. Bobby makes enough money. So
I don't want to interrupt you, but I lived this as well, where people kept flaming me for not having gold, and I'm like, I picked the 2 professions that don't make any gold. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you.
Unless you sit there in a city and like
the only 2 that don't make any money.
I mean, once you get them both maxed, like there's no, like you could just basically, any thread you make shit, disenchant it, and enchanting mats are through the roof right now, like especially the higher level ones.
It will make money, but
eventually
when you need, like, it'll make money when I don't need money anymore is the problem,
Well,
right?
I mean, you should be close to 150 now. You just need to you go back to not making any money when we go to the next phase. So you just need to save up now.
I needed money.
Fishing is amazing. Fishing is amazing, guys.
If you fish for greens and DE them, you could have a stockpile.
Listen, I don't have very much time is my barrier here.
If you get Bobby to fish for you for greens to DE.
There we go.
We need to just set the laptop up on the coffee table and just fish while we watch shows.
Listen,
just take
can
turns.
do that.
But I don't think I could keep it up the entire time. If we take turns, we can, stretch our wrists and,
And I'm not that sweaty.
Talk about this.
I am not that sweaty. You know that. I mean, I went in, Bobby got so mad at me because we went into BFD and like I would pass on stuff because we had a mage in there too. And I was like, listen, that's not my bis. Like, I'm like, whatever. Like, and he's like, you don't know what your bis is. And I was like, I know, but I don't like, I'm not here to take up all the loot. Like, I got 2 pieces. I felt like that was really good. It was my first BFD. They took a chance on me,
I found the best GDKP strategy ever. It'll make you millions. Okay, so you become the designated enchanter for your group, and you pre-buy all the shards that you could get from the epic items, right? And then when people don't buy at the minimum bid, you have to, they trade them to you to disenchant, right? That's when you trade them a shard you already bought. And now, boom, you have the epic in your bag, and they think that you disenchanted it, and now you have a free epic. It's incredibly illegal, but they might never find out.
But what do you do with the epic?
You keep it. You have a free epic. So you're basically getting a 0 gold epic.
Yeah, you wanted it, but you didn't buy it.
You didn't buy it. And so they make
wanted,
you disenchant.
It's something you wanted.
Like if
an item you wanted,
you do.
but you bring a fake, you bring your own shard from home.
Oh, I was like, but then aren't you just gonna disenchant it and sell that?
No, you never
I
do
was so
disenchant. And you
confused.
unless they're paying full attention, they'll just think you disenchanted it when they weren't looking.
But was
get
it TBC or is it vanilla where epic items could sometimes give 2 shards?
Well, you got to bring two shards.
Yeah.
Well, no, but
or the plausible deniability of like,
no,
nope, only got
or,
one.
yeah, you
and
could just
eat it
say
later and get 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they'd have to not notice you never DEing, but
Well, you just DE other things, maybe. They'll just see your
Yeah,
hands
it's like
moving
they
like
trade you
crazy.
5 things.
yep, you
and
save all the
4 of
greens
them.
you've gotten from dungeons in the week. You just
Yeah.
although it would say blah blah blah
Oh,
went
it'll
into your
say
bag.
different thing.
Nobody's
but it'll
paying that much
say-
attention. They're trying not to die.
It may force you to
It'll-
download Gargle, so it'll say when you DE'd something.
Yeah, but they're not
Bob's
gonna
too busy
like,
not dying. He can't pay attention to that while he's raiding.
Nope. That's another thing with the
Oh,
speed
God.
thingy. Like, you have to start being like, I should not loot. Like, you should just go.
No
Go,
loot.
go.
You got to have a pant swap for your stupid homunculus rune. I mean, it's just a nightmare.
Yeah, this does
They
not
never
sound
let
fun
you
to me.
drink ever. You'll just might as well not bring
Oh.
water.
Yep.
Oh gosh.
Get
yeah,
drink walk.
I think no.
Apparently, drink walking's not as good as it was. It's kind of you have to sit down fully.
Mm. We're also water's kind of expensive in Jerome and I are poor, remember? So
Yeah.
Yeah, the mage water's crap compared to the good water.
Yeah, when a mage trades it to me, I'm like, I don't want this garbage.
you're like,
Just don't
thank
even.
you.
Well, thanks
Just
for
use
this
like
trash
use
butter.
like the
Thank
like
you.
shitty stuff. Like use milk instead of melon juice, or not melon, or melon juice instead of
Milk.
nectar.
If you're in my raid using milk, we have problems.
You need some milk. No, like you can like run around and loot melon from barrels. Just get
You
melon
take
from
3
barrels.
of them to like even like get your mana bar like halfway
but
This
use
is
through.
why our
those in drink
speedrun
walk.
is 35 minutes long. Table slams using melon water.
I'm drinking refreshing spring water only.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We do need some trash
other than that-
requirements though in speedrun. So
Fully
can
agree
you get
with
on that? Wowhead, can you get on that? So
Yeah, the theoretical fastest time with the you can pre-clear before you start your logs. So you could theoretically do the raid in like 7 or 8 minutes if you had like a really tight fast run.
Mm,
And that's just wrong.
That's
I don't
weird.
want to see a 7-minute parse.
right?
mhm.
Yeah. Okay, well, other than that, I did my first BFD. I've only done one. I think I do one tomorrow, right?
Yep,
Bob?
tomorrow we're in Rugs's.
Okay. What time tomorrow?
10 p.m. our time? Maybe
Okay.
9. I don't know.
Last time Bobby signed up for something, or no, maybe he scheduled the podcast during the Chiefs game, and I was like,
Rookie
you're going to have
move.
to do it by yourself. And
Well, at least you
did
don't
not
have to
like
watch
that.
the Chiefs anymore. They're just a mess.
Jesus.
Well, they're still
Taylor
better
Swift,
than your team.
Did she ruin the Chiefs? Is that what happened?
No.
Taylor Swift did, damn it.
Well, I'm going to
No.
get canceled. I shouldn't have said that on a podcast. You know what? Let's move on from that. Okay, never mind. She didn't do
No.
anything wrong. She's been perfect.
You guys, what's so funny is that like they tapped into this whole new market of people with Taylor Swift, right? Coming to the Chiefs games. And I went to Texas. And like I thought it was just like a myth, like they liked the Chiefs now, but nobody was like watching the games, right? I went to Texas and this girl that works at one of the clinics is like, oh my God, I have never watched football like my whole life, but now I'm so into it with the Chiefs. She's like, because I'm a Swiftie, and so now I know everything about the Chiefs and Travis Kelce, and I watch every game every Sunday, and I was like, what is happening? Is this a serious thing? Is this for real? That's nuts to me.
This is the next
So
week's
love it.
podcast topic, but we need to get a celebrity to start playing WoW that brings in a whole new audience.
True.
I've
gonna
been
say it's
trying to
only
get
matter-
Cavill on the show forever. He won't answer me for
I
some
don't
reason.
think he's legally allowed to go on podcasts unless he's like getting paid or something, or he's like promoting a movie. I think it's like he's got so many ironclad deals, he's not even allowed on stuff.
Get that Arthas movie going.
Yeah, once the
Right.
movie's going, he'll be able to come on.
It's only a matter of time before people that call themselves the Taylor Swift fans that call themselves Swifties discover Swifty the Warrior.
Hmm.
And Swiftness
wait a minute.
potions, which are
He's
really
one of
fun to
us.
use.
His name is Swifty. So they tune into Swifty because they think they're gonna hear some Taylor Swift jams while he's playing or whatever, and they're like, wait a minute, this guy's
mean, he could
really
make that
some
happen.
peanut
Melch.
songs kind of sound like Taylor Swift songs. Okay, I'm gonna get canceled for sure. We gotta.
God. Gotta move on. Next topic. No, other than that, I worked on my enchanting and tailoring kind of. I think they're both at like 140 now.
I think the
And
coolest thing
then-
about doing props like that is like, when was the last time you stopped at level 25 to level professions while you were leveling a character in any other version of the
Right.
game?
It's so cool. It is. The whole thing.
I mean, I really like professions. Bob
It's
gets mad
fun.
at
It's
me.
like it's a whole
but-
separate fun thing. Like, I like to keep up with professions on the way up too, because like it's fun to like
Mhm.
make your own gear or like enchant your own stuff or whatever. I think that's fun.
Nothing
That's
makes
like,
me more mad than when I buy something that I could make if I spent the time to like work up my
Farm it, yeah.
profession.
It
You
Yeah,
depends.
didn't
exactly.
buy your gingerbread cookies, did you, Bob? You were supposed to make those with the eggs.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
You
There's a
better.
reason
Yeah,
you
I
save
better.
all
I
your
see
small
some
eggs.
handmade Bob cookies later.
Taurens are making so much money just from saving their eggs and not using the eggs to level cooking at like,
Those-
from level 1. You save your eggs to make the gingerbread cookies from the swoops that you kill in Mulgore.
Oh my gosh! If you were on Alliance and you leveled in Darkshore, you must have like 15 gold worth of eggs right now.
Oh,
Right.
easily. Dude, even the owls on Teldrassil drop eggs too.
It's just an
So-
egg party over there.
An egg fiesta.
Ain't nothing
Pink
but an
party.
egg party.
What I think is so cool about Season of Discovery, I think my favorite thing is just that I get to play with so many people that I've never gotten to play with, right? Like, I feel like I've talked to a lot of people about the game, but like, it's way too much of an investment to like go to a different server with
Yeah.
the character that you've
Scotty
already
J's
like.
like, "Oh, you guys want to come play with me on
Yeah.
Mirage Raceway?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds awesome." And then I'm like, "Well, I'd have to level to 80, and that's
Yeah,
not happening."
it's not gonna happen.
But now I get to
right?
play with Bob and his mythical rogue that he's always working on.
Oh god.
Dude, it's been so cool getting to raid with Pubble, Ruggs, Jerome, Sarth, freaking so many people that like I just
People that
never get a
seem
chance to.
unapproachable. Like I never thought I'd raid with Pummel or anybody like that. But you
Well,
know, like I
I'd already
figured
raided
they
with
were always
Pummel.
off in their speedrun raids, you know.
Yeah, I do Pummel GDKPs, so I hang with him all the time. No, I'm just
Are
kidding.
you already in the Pummel raids?
He and I
Huh?
are boys.
But-
We go way back.
But no, Pummel's freaking awesome and freaking
He's really funny too.
there's like dude, and just like I want to raid with more people. I want to raid with Crix so bad. Like I need to make more characters, because
The
Oh my
alt
God.
fear of missing out by not having 11 alts is really painful right now.
it is.
It's
It
the
is.
I may or may not be leveling every time I look over there.
I would
One of
I
the
may or may
expect
not be
nothing
working
left.
up my
I would
enchanting.
expect nothing less. If I could do it and still podcast, I would. But I went on Scotty J's podcast like 3 days after it released, and all 4 of us were playing while we were on the podcast. And I think I did the thing where how your girlfriend asks you something or your wife asks you something and your mind auto answers. And you don't really
didn't
know
even
what
remember answering?
what you said. Yeah, that was me the entire podcast.
amazing.
And I was just like, I got
That's
done. I was
just
like,
my
I can't
life.
do that again. I can't do that again.
It's a pretty loose one, that's for sure. I remember watching that. I was like, these guys are clearly playing the game in the background.
Dude, there'd be long silences where we're like, oh, did somebody ask a question? What?
Oh my god.
It was like at a certain point, I stopped typing stuff into chat because I was like, they're not paying attention to chat. They're playing the game.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who comes on the show, I always tell them, like, if you can do both, like, I don't mind at all. And like, you're giving me your time, like, you do you. The only thing that irks me is when you can hear their clicks. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
that's going to irk my audience.
Well, yeah,
it
push
doesn't
it
really irk me, but I know it's going to irk the audience. And so that's the only time I'm like, but
I would have never
during
thought to play, but then I remember those old Trainwrecks podcasts when he used to do it on Twitch, and every single person would be playing a different game the whole time. And you're like, well, okay, I guess that's the meta.
It's the thing, yeah.
So here I am, and I'm flipping auctions and leveling at the same time.
it's awesome. It's awesome.
Bobby, you remember when I was on the podcast with I think it was with who was it with? I can't remember who it was with. It was during the hardcore leveling tournament, one of the hardcore leveling tournaments. It was for the Dead Mines Cup. And
Was
I
it
was
C-Dank
No, it wasn't C Dank. It was
who died recently
God.
in OnlyFans?
Rav died. I'm trying to get in on that.
Damn.
I feel so bad I can't remember who it was. But yeah, I was leveling during the tournament while I was on the podcast.
Yep.
And I was like, all right, I definitely need push to talk on so that my keyboard cannot be heard.
Oh, I do know who it was, but I'm not going to mention it. Because that person got canceled.
Oh, okay. I know who it is now too. Okay.
Yep. And yeah, we're not going to talk about that at all. Moving on.
Anyway, yeah, I've
made
been
it real weird.
playing EU. I started EU to play with Scotty J, and like a few of the EU boys that we raid with on NA on Mancrick. A few of us went and started on EU first, so I've got like 3 or maybe 4 BFD lockouts on my druid over there.
Nice.
Got a 99 last night on what was that, the turtle boss, because I swapped from Mangle to to Sunfire on that fight because of the armor difference. I was like, all right, I'm gonna swap to Sunfire, and I got a 99 by doing that. I got like 4 oranges or whatever. Wasn't like a super min-maxy raid or whatever, but like I was power shifting and doing the stuff that you would expect to do while power shifting, popping mana pots, stuff like that, and did pretty well. I accidentally swapped in Sunfire for Baron, because I don't know why. For some reason, I thought that I needed to run Sunfire for that, and it counted me as a boomy parse, and it was like a green parse because it was literally only Sunfire damage. And I was like, why did I do that? I should have just kept Mangle on. But it was a fun raid. Nothing dropped that I got. The only Fist of the Wild that anybody in the EU guild has seen went to an alt. So it was somebody's alt druid got a Fist of the Wild. None of the main druids have gotten a Fist of the Wild yet, which is kind of unfortunate. But then I started an Alliance druid on Wild Growth, got him to like 12, logged him out in Darkshore, and now I have the Crusader Strike druid that I've been leveling with in your guys' guild.
Yeah, I'm glad you came over because I was excited. I thought Scotty J and Go would definitely come to Crusader Strike with us, but they didn't come, and I was bummed about that one.
It's just a lot of stuff going on. Like I could have, like, I also, before I made any characters on any other servers, I started a warrior on Living Flame EU. That's what we're playing on. EU is Living Flame. I started a warrior and got him to like 10 or something like that. So the amount of time that I spent getting that character to 10 and getting the Alliance Druid on Wild Growth to 12, I could have already been 25 on Crusader Strike and have already gotten like solo farmed my Legacies of the Fang, my Baron Silverlane ring, and my Smite's Hammer. I could have gone and done all that stuff already and had max perfection stuff if I hadn't leveled these other stuff first. But I mean, it's fine. It'll happen eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, unless you're trying to like speed run something, I don't think your character has to be done. Like you could, there's all kinds of raids.
Week 2 of SoD, like we have we have so much time.
Yeah, Mel and I went in all greens in our fresh 25s just 2 days ago, and we went 7 of 7 in about 50 minutes. It was longer, right? And there was some like growing pains, but besides that, it was, I mean, we still were able to do the entire raid. And
yeah. And now that everybody knows how to do Kelris, either with shadow protection pots or with like making sure you like stagger who's closest to the boss to get ported or whatever, like now that everybody knows that, or most people know that, it's like Kelris isn't even that big of a roadblock anymore.
I mean, with shadow protection pots really make it a non-issue at all, like pretty much. All right, well, anybody else want to talk about what they've been doing? I've been doing a lot more, but I mean,
I forgot to talk about forever. We've been still progging Heroic Lich King and Wrath. We've been pretty consistently getting to phase 2 now.
Nice.
No kill yet, but it's looking a lot better. Like we're now at the point where we're progging Valks now instead of progging, Infest. Now we're progging Valks. So it's been going pretty well. Like things are looking up. It's kind of dealing with some roster boss issues. Some of it is because of SoD. Some of it is because people just don't care enough to get a Lich King kill anymore, I guess. I think the 5% buff really hurt because like we were doing okay. It was a little slower prog than probably a lot of people would have liked, but like it was pretty much in line with other guilds that are at this kind of the same like level as ours. They were just putting in more raid nights a week to get more pulls in. So like they got a kill already. Like one of them had like 198 pulls or something like that before they got him down. And it was like a guild that's kind of around the same level as us. They just added a raid night to each week to do it, and they didn't get it till 5%. So it's like, I don't know. I think people just had the wrong expectations of how things were going to go, but we've still been progging it. We've still been doing all right. I think once Ruby Sanctum is out, if we don't have Lich King kill before Ruby Sanctum, once we get Halion down and get some of the gear from that, that's going to help a lot. Like get a couple of those trinkets in. That's going to help a lot with damage. And the shorter the fight is, the less chances people have to die to dumb stuff. So who knows? Who knows how things will look once Ruby Sanctum is out? But I feel like might be a little soon. It feels almost a little soon for Ruby Sanctum. It felt a little soon for 5%. It also felt really weird that they were releasing SoD at the same time that the 5% buff was going out. It's like, why didn't they
Listen.
stagger that more?
In hindsight, though,
Yeah,
brilliant.
I felt the
right?
same way as you. In hindsight,
it was brilliant. Will you let me finish my sentence?
Oh, yeah,
Thank
go ahead.
you. It was brilliant, right? Because nobody really wants to be in an ICC anymore, right? Because they want to be in SoD. And so then you give the 5% buff, and you're like, oh, this is quicker now. And then you're going to have 10%, and you're going to go even quicker. So it's really, I think it was a really good move. I feel like it did feel early, but after it came out and SoD came out, I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, the only thing that I
My
regret
opinion.
now is 30% didn't come out. Like, I just put it all out there, let the speed runners have a good time doing speed runs, let everybody get through it. Let me go to my GDKP and have it done in, an hour and 40 minutes instead of 3 hours. Like, let's do it.
What's interesting, and I don't know, like, I know, Mel, you play Disc, so I don't know what your experience has been like on Lich King with the 5% buff, but some of our priests have been talking about downranking their shields so they can actually get rapture procs from Infest, because the shields were so big with the 5% buff, and he was even borderline too big to pop from Infest, and now, like, so they're talking about downranking shields just so they can actually get rapture procs in phase 1. Is that something
That's
that
not a
you've
bad
dealt with
idea.
yet?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems a little bit worse, but I haven't noticed it as much. Oh, we've only done it once, maybe twice. But yeah,
It's just
see, I don't
interesting
think
'cause
about min-maxing like that, you know?
that's gonna continue to happen, though, like, as the buff keeps increasing, like,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like, when you're like, there's, like,
That's
that
true.
weird, like, in-between time of, like, okay, how much of a buff do we need before we can drop a healer? But until
Right.
that time, until you're, it's to the point where you can drop a healer, like, what do the healers need to do to stay, like, efficient with their cast and stuff like that? So it's just super
Mhm.
cool that there's all these, like, little miniature metas in these, like, little in-between phases where it's like we're talking about downranking shields, and then when the 10% buff comes in, who knows if shield downranking will still be a thing even? Like, I don't know.
Right.
Maybe downrank even more, like, who knows? Like, it's interesting how these, like, little micro adjustments are made to the min-maxing formula with all these, like, little things that are coming in.
Yeah, for sure.
Then you're only experimenting with that for 2 weeks, so it's a little weird too. And yeah, it is weird.
It's kind of cool to be at the forefront of stuff like that, though. Like, if you play a class that has to deal with stuff like that, like, if you figure it out early, like, you can kind of,
Mhm.
you're, like, ahead of the game a little bit. But I finally got a heroic Deathbringer's Will as well. I say finally, like, I was, like, expecting one or whatever, but, like, it was my turn to get one, essentially.
We've only
So
seen one.
that's unfortunate. We've seen
Well, no, sorry. We've seen two, but one was the first week where we only got normal down. And then week 2 on till now, 1.
we have 7 total, I think, but 2 of them are normal. And I think one of them was somebody had before they joined, maybe. But we've gotten one. We for sure have seen at least one normal one drop, because we've been running 2 raids. We've been doing one that's like a Tuesday, Thursday group that pushes prog, and then a Monday group for, like, people who couldn't make it to Tuesday, Thursday. And we just full clear, try to do as many bosses on heroic as possible, but just try to get a full clear. And so we've seen 5 heroic ones now. One of the people that one of the heroic ones went to stopped raiding. So we have 4 that are still around now. We've seen 2 heroic tiny A bombs. We've seen 1 phylactery. We've seen, like, 5 or 6 DFOs. So, like, we've had decent luck with trinket drops so far. I think we've seen 2 of the Syndragosa trinket, the huge stam one. We've seen a couple of those as well.
I'm just doing what Jerome's doing, just showing up to Wrath, like, for my guild so I don't get kicked out. And then I do enjoy the GDKP, and I want to stay in the GDKP because I think my GDKP will kill heroic Lich King before my guild does. So
What's really weird is
I wanna
while
be
you
on
guys are
that.
talking, I somehow joined an ICC GDKP, and I'm currently in one right now. I swear. They had to kick someone, so now here I am.
Nice.
I think it's like SoD has helped with people realizing how to better manage their time too, and like what your priorities are. Because like right now, obviously, like SoD is a higher priority for a lot of people than Wrath is. So it's like, okay, well, the time that I spend in Wrath, I want it to actually be fun, so it doesn't feel like it's a waste of time. So people in Wrath, I feel like, I don't know if this is just my experience, but like if a lot of people that I've seen are more focused on trying to make sure that their time in Wrath is actually fun, which has improved the quality of like the raids feel lighter. I don't know how it is for you guys, but like my raids to me anyway feel like a little bit lighter. Like the mood is a bit lighter. People are a little less serious. Whereas before the 5% buff came out and SoD was coming up, we were like kind of taking things a little. People were getting a little, upset at like simple mistakes and stuff. When now it's just like, all right, whatever, just go again. Like it's weird how things have shifted a little bit from I don't know.
I've had exactly the opposite experience. The second the buff came out, our guild had full expectations of one-shotting Heroic Lich King, which of course, and then half the guild was, went to go play Season of Discovery, so we haven't been one-shotting Heroic Lich King. In fact, a lot of the guilds I know that we were chasing have actually disbanded. So, you know how you have probably some guilds on your server you almost are as good as, but you're not quite as good. There was one called Overclock, and we were always chasing them, and they just disbanded last night. So a lot of guilds are just shuddering.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to see a big Wrath consolidation.
I don't really think it's SoD's deal though, but like it is, because like you look at Ironforge.co, like you look at Ironforge.pro and you see the SoD drop off. I mean, in 2 weeks, it went from 400,000 people rating ICC to 300,000 people rating ICC, like at least on Warcraft logs, right? So it's definitely affected it, but I think that's more GDKPs and shit. Like people are like, well, I'm not doing this now. You know what I mean? Like I've seen Pummels drop down a bunch of his GDKPs. Like they're not running near as many of them now. Same with the other GDKP that I was in. Like they just straight up canceled the other one that I was in. And like, it's just not happening now because they were getting 12 signups when they used to get, 30.
I do think it's very important to understand that it's harder to find a good Wrath guild than it is to find a good Season of Discovery guild. So you don't want to cut your ties, I would say. I know it's tempting, but
I agree.
When Kata comes out, you don't want to be stuck finding a whole new home.
Yeah, don't be the dick. I don't want to go to raid, but I have done all of Wrath with my guild. Well, I've done all of since Classic. And it would feel gut wrenching to screw them over now. You know what I mean?
As tempting as it is, because it really is tempting.
And it really is tempting. It really is. Like to be like, I'm not feeling so good.
You guys, so here's the thing. So Bob and I's guild is Alliance on SoD. And they found us one night when we were questing or doing something. We were actually trying to help this one guy summon his other shaman to get some rune.
We had been trying to farm the Humbert's Helm, and then we went up to the farm right above that to help our shaman friend with one of his runes.
Yeah, so like 10 people from Varg show up and start to murder us. Yip killed me. And then everybody else got there, and then they killed Bob a lot and waved and danced with me. So that was cool.
That's
oh man.
Hey, and somebody screenshotted Yip killing me just so I'd have that under my belt. Yep, I am your healer in Wrath. I'm just throwing that out there. Be careful.
I sneak attack rezzed and almost killed Casimo though, so that was pretty fun. But some healer, I don't know, saved him at the last second. I was like, dang it. It's like, come on. I was under half health and he was full health. Yeah, I got the jump on him, but come on.
I know Bobby was so mad at me. He was like, you should be helping me kill them. And I was like, nope, I'll heal you, but I'm not going to touch them. They're not touching me. I'm not going to touch them. Like, I don't need this feud.
You look at it a certain way. You guys are helping them with team building and morale exercises.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm going to move us on to Time for the news. Ruby Sanctum is on the PTR.
Heck.
Who cares? I'm not saying who cares. I'm asking who of you care.
I don't know if I'll do it on PTR, but I've seen people streaming it. Like I think Crix was streaming it the other day.
Poor Jordy and
that was
Crix just
already
have to do it, right? It's just a bummer for them.
So they were doing that. I saw Crix in there. Rugs was in there too in the same raid. And then when the ads spawned, I was like, there was two, like Criteria was on top with the other mage as well, and then Rugs was like just below them. And as soon as the ads spawned and Rugs got to his swipe spam, he jumped on top, and I was like, yeah, get him, Rugs, get him.
Oh man.
Oh,
Yeah, I also like something that's really bummed me out is Combat Rogue should be destroying. Like, but every guild leader just doesn't seem to want to prio gear to poor little combat rogues. Oh, and
I don't get it. It's either something went wrong with the way that everything got implemented, or everybody that was under Rogues in original Wrath got better at the game, and it wasn't actually something to do with the way Blizzard implemented combat rogues for Wrath Classic, and it's more of a player skill thing with Wrath Classic.
I also don't know when during the final phase of original Wrath of the Lich King that the poison change came in and the armor pen nerf. So I don't know if that would have had something to do with it, but it really sucks. We're like late. Both rogues are like below middle of the pack now. It's
yeah, which is really weird. Like I think I showed you the sheet that I made like way back, like
yeah.
Cold War. And like the original like top 3 melee was Fury Warrior on top, and then Feral and Combat Rogues were
like interchange different fights. Yeah.
Yeah. And now it's like totally
and Paladins were like 4.
Yeah. And like Enhancement was like way down there. And like Death Knights were also way down there. And now it's like everything's all different. So it's like part of it is player skill thing. And I think part of it is also just the way that things were implemented for Wrath Classic. Obviously, Glyph of Omen of Clarity makes a huge difference for Ferals. But that, even without that,
Paladins help too.
Yeah, big time. But like, still, even with all that considered, like the difference, if you want to like not even count those at all because they got significant changes for Wrath Classic, just look at the difference between Fury Warriors and Combat Rogues. Like that's a huge difference. But also, then again, I was looking at like the lockout just before Cata pre-patch. So by that point, like Rogues had Bis, Warriors had Bis. Right now, what we're seeing now is Shadowmourne Fury Warriors versus Rogues that don't have Havoc's Call yet.
Yep, so and like, don't have like, I don't know any guild prioing their combat rogue what's it called? Deathbringer's Will or whatever.
Yeah. So it's like the numbers that we're seeing now, it's like some rogues have Deathbringer's Will. Like our combat rogue last week got a Deathbringer's Will. But it was after, it was like the 4th one or 5th one or something like that. And we haven't gotten Heroic Lich King yet. So nobody has a Havoc's Call. But a lot of guilds are prioing the first Havoc's Call to a prop paladin because the weapon damage is huge for threat for prop paladins. So prop paladins might be getting the first one of those. Frost Death Knights want 2 of them. Combat rogues want 1. Shamans who are going fizz hands instead of spell hands want 2. Like, you know what I mean? It's like there's Havoc's Call is huge for a lot of classes.
Lame as hell. We gave they didn't choose. I had to roll against our Frost DK for the sword, the only one that's dropped.
The Blood Venom Blade?
Which would have been a huge jump, but I lost the roll. And
so I think that's a big part of it is like combat rogues they look like they're in a worse spot than they actually are. I feel like it will get a much more accurate depiction of how combat rogues are actually performing once they can actually get good weapons.
Yeah, and I'm staying, for it, but I'm still not excited about Ruby Sanctum. I'd rather just keep getting Lich King faster, and like I don't want to prog something new. Like I'm so just checked out of Wrath, and I don't know if other people are like that or people listening that are probably like, "Fuck you, Bob." Like, I'm sorry. I don't mean
That's
to be
the thing
like
that's
that.
weird
It's
is,
just I have to be truthful.
like Halion is easier to kill than Heroic Lich King is, for sure. So like it's one of those things where it's like you want to get Halion down because some of the stuff that he drops is super powerful, especially the trinkets. Like having a Deathbringer's Will plus a Sharpened Twilight Scale together is insane. There's a good ring in there. There's a good neck for strength users. There's some good bracers for agility leather wearers. Like there's some really good stuff that drops in there, and it's going to help with Heroic Lich King. But in order to go get that stuff, you have to take time away from Heroic Lich King proc. So it's like it's a double-edged sword. Like sure, the gear makes it easier, but the thing that really is going to make it actually easier is actually doing the proc.
You know something really weird about Ruby Sanctum is you don't get the buff in Ruby Sanctum, so you're going to do less damage to Halion, which is going to feel terrible.
Yeah,
I don't know if they should
waiting.
change that or what, but it doesn't. That's why Scotty was always talking about you should put Ruby Sanctum out first, right? It makes more sense with all these reasons. And now it's going to feel super bad to go back to Ruby Sanctum and do less damage than you were doing.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to bring that up because you brought that up when we were talking before raid or something just yesterday, and I didn't want to steal it from you, so I was waiting for you to bring it in.
I was wiping too. What is that? Fester gut. Yeah, so that's we were having a bad time in Wrath 5 seconds ago. Sorry about that.
Jerome said he could play and talk at the same time, but I don't know.
Well, we're dead. That's why I can talk right now.
Waiting for the res.
Well,
Yep.
It's the PTR's out, and
I think no matter
beast is
what, though,
probably
like
coming
no matter when they decide to release stuff, there's always going to be people saying, "Oh, about time," and there's going to be people saying, "Oh, too soon." So like at a certain point, it's like Blizzard just needs to do what they think is the right thing to do and just let the dust settle however it does. Because no matter what, somebody's going to be unhappy with whatever they decide to do in what order.
yeah, I don't know. I'm sticking with it. I did it like until my guild says, okay, we're not doing it anymore. I'm going to do it. I don't know how long I'll keep doing the GDKPs, but I don't want to let Pummel down. And they've been having problems. You know, it used to be like that, you know, there was no problems, all these raids. Now, like, the raid fills and 4 people don't show and we're having to fill, and then we don't get started for 15 minutes. And then it's just like, it's got to be frustrating for them and for everybody else that is involved in running it. So,
Unfortunate. I feel like all of this is definitely to say that SoD has for sure been a big success for Blizz. Like, Wrath is still, going. There's at varying levels of difficulty for people's ability to fill raids and stuff like that. A lot of guilds having roster boss issues, but SoD is booming. There's a lot of stuff going on in SoD. There's always groups going on. World PvP is popping off. Ashenvale PvP is going well. People are doing Warsong Gulch a lot. The big thing that people are complaining about now when it comes to that is like the whole pre-made versus pug thing, where like if you decide to just solo queue, you could end up against pre-mades and then you have no shot at winning at all. So it's like, just do like a pre-made versus pre-made thing, or like partials versus partials, like that sort of thing. But like, how would they implement that? Is it necessary? It can't be that hard to just join a pre-made, even if it's the trade chat pre-made. Like,
well, and they could give, like I've heard that before. Then people say, well, people just won't do pre-mades, which is true because like there's a lot of people that get into pre-mades not for competition, but for just for the rep, right? But the big problem with pre-made versus pre-made is I think it was vanilla. Yeah, it was classic vanilla. I mean, I was in a 3-hour match and it was a blast. But I mean, we got shit for it. We got jack shit for it. Like honor ran out after we'd killed each person 10 times, and there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kills. It was just, we got jack shit for it. So if they want to do pre-made versus pre-made, the only way it works and you actually have really cool games is if there's a lot bigger bonus for pre-mades and you're getting stuff, honor is continuing to give, but then you have trading and stuff that could come of that too, like where you're just trading honorable kills back and forth. Like there's all kinds of stuff, but if you're going to have pre-made versus pre-made, you kind of have to, like, you have to give more for it, you know, but.
Or put a timer in or something, like the timer only for pre-mades, or like Karate saying in chat, like just bring rated BGs to SoD. Like do pre-made, if it's a pre-made versus pre-made, do rated BGs for SoD.
I've been waiting for rated BGs forever, hoping they would bring it in, and I don't want to have to go to Classic, or I don't want to have to go to Kata just to get it. I'd love them in, because I just like BGs so much more than Arena, and so
I think the only thing that they would have trouble with is like with the era honor system. How would you do rated BGs with the era honor system? That's the only thing that's the only question that I would have. Like, not saying that they shouldn't do it, but like that's the main thing I can think of that would make it difficult.
Well, as long as I don't have to have 400 gear score to get into these battlegrounds.
If people would use the in-game voice option in BGs, that would be so nice. If people would just agree to, like, they don't have to talk, just have it on so they hear calls, you know, like.
I don't know if I want to hear some of the teammates I've been playing with lately.
Dude,
maybe I'll just skip that.
The worst possible thing is these people spend so much time typing, they might have killed 3 people in the time that they've typed their angry thing. And it's just like, bro, more fight, less type. Like, less type, more. I used to have a macro that said less type, more fight.
Voice, though?
I think it would be less toxic. I mean, it would basically turn into the same thing Overwatch was. But sometimes, I'd say a good 50% of the time, as long as you were over plat, like, you were getting some pretty good comms, and it was just people calling targets. And in Warsong Gulch, fighting mid is really just calling targets. That's really the gist of it. Yeah, they're like a leader can call for different people to do different tasks, but calling targets is the biggest thing. And if you do that, that's what makes pre-mades, even bad ones, so good. Is like I did a pre-made, like I got into it from fucking trade chat. I was like, all right, what's the Discord? And they're like, oh, we're not going to do Discord. It's just casual pre-made. And I was like, oh, so then it's not a pre-made? Like,
yeah,
they're like, no, I mean, just follow the basic rules. I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. 45-minute game. I doubled the next person in my team in killing blows. Had 3 flag, not returns, but where I killed the enemy, the EFC, enemy flag carrier, for anybody that doesn't know what that means. I had 3 of those next to anybody else having 1. Like, it's just like, okay, this is not a pre-made. So
at that point, they're just trying to make sure they had healers. Like that's what they meant by pre-made. It's like, oh, we'll just make sure, because like I've solo queued before and been the only person that had like a healing setup at all. So it's like, all right, well, I guess I'll heal. And
I've wanted that forever.
All I had to do was cast 1 wild growth, and then I was KOS for the rest of the game. Like, didn't even matter. I put my feral gear back on at a certain point because I was like, they're just on me, so I might as well have a fighting chance.
Yeah, it's
oh my god,
it's weird. Like the other day, I was like, okay, I only have like a half an hour. Is it weird, chat, that I'm gonna queue for this Warsong Gulch and then /AFK if I'm not against a pre-made? I wanted to be against a pre-made to get 1 mark, like just real quickly. Like, but I was like, oh, okay,
so when you
/AFK.
You can't find a pre-made.
Yeah.
You can't find one to play against.
Yep. Like, I was just like, it's just.
You were the only person ever that wanted to get against a pre-made.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I guarantee that's not true. I guarantee I'm not. I guarantee there's people that are just like, there's so much good gear locked behind PvP stuff right now. I mean, it's uncanny, and it's going to keep going that direction. And I could play Arathi Basin until my eyes fall out, but Warsong Gulch is so freaking frustrating that it just drives me nuts. And I know Jerome loves it because he's normally a druid. You know, they get the silly shifty shit.
It's weirdly such a fun. You get to be the star. You get to you make the game all about you. Isn't that fun?
Well,
it's to be all about you.
I love being a warrior in mid in pre-mades. Like, that's awesome too. Like, you're just like, I mean, you're kind of the star of mid there, right? So
Yeah, the warrior gets to be the star too.
The issue that I've had in the when I solo queue is that people will only fight mid and they ignore the flag. It's like, what are you doing? Like, you kill the enemy team enough times and you're not even getting honor anymore. You're literally just wasting time.
How did we even get on PvP?
No
I
idea.
don't know, man.
Oh, that's another piece of news, guys. It's Warsong Gulch weekend. So
Sure
hey,
is.
once you hear this, it'll be over. Because this comes out Tuesday. So
The thing that's, if you're
that's why you need to come live.
A thing that I've noticed as druid, like all the different druid skips that you can do in Warsong Gulch, a lot of them don't work anymore.
I have noticed some of that too.
You can do the jumps to get on top of like the tunnel entrance and stuff. You can do some of that stuff. You can still use
that's awesome though
on Horde side and whatever. But the fence jumps on Alliance side don't work anymore. At least not the ones that I used to know. Or maybe I'm doing them wrong, or maybe they made it only 1 pixel instead of 3 pixels you can land on. Like, I don't know, but like all of the fence jumps that I was trying on the Alliance side didn't work. I could still do the same skips, the same jumps to get on top of the tunnel entrance, because I had to do that to kill another druid who had our flag that was on their tunnel entrance. But like the normal jumps, like some of them don't work anymore.
That's another.
It's also very racial based, where there's a whole spreadsheet I should send you guys. It's every single race has basically limitations on what they can fit through. So there are some that there are certain, even like the male, female, the hitboxes are very specific for the jumps.
Wow. Well, that's another lame thing. Like a change that needs to be in is after not even flag carrier, after the flag has left a base for more than 5 minutes, that motherfucker better show up on the map. Like, I am so tired of these people clipping the flag into the back wall, hiding like little, it drives me nuts. Like, it should be people fighting, not people. It's not hide and seek. It's Warsong Gulch.
I love hide and seek Warsong Gulch. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, but only one player on the team likes that, and that's the flag runner. Like, nobody else likes it. I don't like it on the other side. I don't like it on my side. Like, I mean, and when you're doing a pre-made, the flag carrier will just go up with you and kill the other flag carrier if need be. Like, I don't know. I don't know how we got
same problems that have existed in Warsong Gulch since time immemorial. It's oh my god, kill the healers, and oh my god, peel.
And that druid is cheating. We should all report him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Swiftest spots are cheating. And
they are in Horde. They're 70 silver each right now. That's not fair.
That is not fair. You gotta that guy's definitely a swiper.
Dude, just make new characters and
question of how are these PvPers affording to spend so much on consumes? It's a valid question.
Yeah,
you don't make money from Warsong.
They didn't go enchanting and tailoring. I know that for sure.
That's what they did.
Now, in pre-mades, I use full consumes, but that's because I'm going to get to do like 6 games with 1 elixir, of strength and agi. Like, and, I'm going to get to like, because of that. But then like to go into like a pug and pop my rum and my like stam food buff, and then
you're spending 15 gold an hour in a pug.
There's no way I'm going to do that. Like, I'm just not going to do that. So it's just, there's always been something to be said about only being allowed to use certain consumes in BGs. Like, they have the food and the water that you could use. They have the bandages. Like, it could be a change where you're like, yep, not doing that. You can't use all your stuff. But
just Bob opened my eyes to the idea that you can use the more expensive. You can use the stun grenade. There's still stun grenades in Warsong right now.
Yep.
And like I think it's the bronze bomb or the copper, whatever it is.
There's
also one that, because of you, I went down a rabbit hole and I ended up, I almost just died on the Cinder Ghost. I ended up looking into more, and apparently gnomes can use the portable bronze mortar, which is instant. And they get a stun off that. So that's really unfair.
Yeah, because they have plus 15 NG skill.
That's ridiculous.
Yep. Well, there's 2 bombs that are definitely usable right now. It's the big bronze bomb, and then I think just maybe the bronze bomb. But one's only a 3-yard radius, and one's a 5-yard radius. And there's bombs in the game
you can use in PvP.
I don't know if they're stun bombs, but I saw a recipe for a grenade that anybody could use. Not it's specifically in the tooltip said this is the
throw
grenade.
dynamite is what you give to the people that didn't.
Is that what
engineering.
it is? Okay,
Yeah.
so that's what I saw. Okay, easy throw dynamite. Interesting.
I've learned so much about weird consumables that we'll probably never have to know about ever again.
Dude, that's one thing that's really cool about. I keep going on tangents, but all of the text, the flavor text on all the new stuff, like about the thing, the elixir that you use, and that lets you talk to the guy before you get your epic patterns. Jerome, I'm sure, has a video out that tells you how to do that.
Surprisingly, no. I've been just playing the game too much. I stopped doing that.
Shit. All right. Well,
maybe Bob has one out.
No. Hammer Dance and I'm Sarth both have good ones, so check them out. But it's funny because it's like, and it like does this, and also might cure indigestion. Like there's so much flavor text on all this new stuff. It reminds me of Blizzard of old. Like the classic devs we have right now are like of the same mentality of Blizzard of old, like throwing in, memes, like current, like pop culture things that we're going through, like all the different stuff, the clam, like weaving tunic, like all this stuff. It's so neat to see them come back to form and back to funny. Like it's been really great. But all right. So the next thing,
just straight up wiped the entire raid on Tindergosa during that while I was talking, by the way, just straight up blew up and every single person in the raid died at the same time. I don't know if you could, my face just turned red mid podcast. Dude, it's multitasking.
Oh my God.
You should be like, hey guys, sorry.
The raid.
I'm on Warcraft Reloaded podcast. Check it out at twitch.tv/BlazeBob. It won't happen again. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
No hit violin. Oh man. Okay.
This tiny violin, the raid, straight up.
You did. Okay, so class tuning changes and hunter changes have been going crazy across the board. I'm not going to read them out here. That's pretty boring for an audio podcast, but I thought I'd give you guys a chance to say any you like or dislike, and if you're just not following them as well as me as well, then we could just not talk about it. Like there's just so many changes. It's changing constantly.
From what it seems like, the stuff that they have been changing is to, like, if you play one of the classes that's affected by one of these changes, it's important, or if you're, just reading the changes without having played one of those classes, it's important to keep in mind what Blizzard's trying to accomplish with these changes. Like, for example, like the Shaman one, they increased the damage of Lava Lash. So what they're trying to do there, they reduce the mana cost of Lava Lash. They're basically trying to get it so that enhancement shamans don't have to run double Rockbiter. They're trying to make it more appealing to not run double Rockbiter, because one of the biggest issues that enhancement shamans are dealing with right now, the non-tank and DPS enhancement shamans.
Yeah, because the tank ones rock.
Yeah, tank. That's like the tank imbue is Rockbiter, but right now, or prior to this change, and might even still be with the change, I'm not exactly sure. I got to talk to BJ about it. But they were running double Rockbiter because that was the highest damage. But also, they were generating ungodly amounts of threat that did not match up with the amount of damage that they were dealing. So they were like underpowered in terms of DPS, but way over on terms of threat gen. It was like how Feral Druids were in Phase 1 of Wrath with Bear Weaving, where it was like a ridiculous amount of threat gen, but not the damage to show for it. Like not enough damage to like make sense for that amount of threat gen. So that's kind of what enhancement shamans were dealing with having to run double Rockbiter for the damage. So Lava Lash buff is probably their attempt at making it so that they're not running double Rockbiter, that they want to run Flame Tongue, like that sort of thing. Overload, they buffed Overload to make an elemental shamans and even resto shamans have higher chances to proc that stuff. Dual wield specialization, obviously, also for enhancement DPS. They buffed that as well. They basically doubled the amount of hit bonus you get from that. So like it's important to keep in mind what they're trying to accomplish with these changes. They're trying to reduce the amount of threat that enhancement DPS is generating while also buffing their damage. The rogue stuff that they put in, Some of the stuff is just to make sure that the new abilities are interacting properly with the talents that they're supposed to interact with.
Yeah, it's a bummer that my Saber Slash bleed now is an actual bleed. Not for the raid, because I have Mangle in the raid, but for open world stuff, I was fighting stuff and be like, I just tried to bleed that, but my Saber Slash is bleeding it, so why can't I bleed it? Why is it immune to that? But so now there's mobs that we can't kill as easily once again.
Right, but it makes sense too, because now you don't have to remember which things are not bleedable, like that sort of thing. But like that's sort of like, again, just making sure that the new abilities are interacting properly with the game, the way that other abilities that are similar do. Priest buffs are to increase their damage, like Void Plague damage being increased, Homunculi damage being increased. I'm sorry, Homunculi damage being increased.
Which Jerome's not very happy about, because it screwed him into not using one of the coolest runes he has.
My enjoyment of the raid. But I will say Void Plague is very fun. That's the strongest dot now, so.
I think we normally have 2 warriors though, right, Jerome? In that case, like, they will sunder and you won't have to do that. But
I hope that happens.
The warrior could show up or something.
The thing that's nice about a homunculi is if you have a warrior tank, the degrade debuff counts in the same category as Sunder, so it'll overwrite Sunder, but also Devastate deals maximum damage immediately if you have a degrade up, because it's like it does more damage when it's fully stacked up. So like if a rogue uses Expose, or if you have a homunculi degrade on the target, Devastate will instantly be doing the maximum damage that it can do because the target is fully debuffed.
I feel like homunculi was cool.
First it would work the opposite of that, but I guess they made it work in a more friendly way for warriors.
Yeah, which hurts. See, I feel like homunculi is really cool, but I feel like the debuff should have been half the debuff would be if you were using proper debuffs, quote unquote proper.
Yeah, it's weird that it's more. Like when you go to the Wowhead page for degrade and you set it to level 25, it says it does like 3,000 armor reduction, which is not correct. It's like 1,090 or something like that, which is still more than a fully stacked Sunder. Fully stacked Sunder at level 25 is 900 armor reduction. So homunculi is more armor reduction. Because
you learn Sunder at an earlier level than 25. Willie had a good video coming out talking about this, how the runes scale to your level. And so therefore there's many different things like Shadow Bolt, I think was one of his examples, that are just like kind of out of line because, you know, all these moves like become very good when you first learn them, and then slowly become bad until you learn finally the next version of it. Right.
Right.
So
Sunder is one of those. If Sunder scaled with your level, then I'm sure a 5 stack of Sunder would also be the exact same amount that degrade does. But since the rank of Sunder that warriors are using at 25 is learned before 25, like it's a little bit less.
I just feel like homunculi should have just been half. It should have just been like, we don't have a warrior in the raid, we need homunculi. It's not going to be as good, but it's something type of deal, instead of like, this is necessary now. Big time.
Yeah, the level 60 version of
I disagree.
Degrade is
you're gonna agree once you have to go into a raid and use homunculi over palm. So
and then your tank dies and they're like, why weren't you healing the tank? But you have no healing abilities because you're a shadow priest.
Yeah. It's what's interesting is I don't know if Blizzard's gonna have to mess with the scaling, or maybe Wowhead is inaccurate with some of the way that things are scaling. But the way that homunculi looks, if you scale it to level 60, it's enough armor reduction to fully negate 100% of some bosses in Molten Core.
See, that seems perfectly balanced to me. That seems like what it should do. It should be like 3 times better than Sunder.
Agreed.
I think you're wrong.
But yeah, some of these other changes are clearly like
you think you're wrong
changes. Too. The hunter changes are clearly to help to sort of boost melee hunter stuff, which is like melee hunters were already looking pretty good when you look at like the rankings stuff in Warcraft logs. Melee hunters were already looking pretty good. It's pretty clear that this change is because of something that they're going to do in the future, like whatever they're planning for the future of melee hunter. This change is because like they're still developing, right now. Like they're working on stuff for level 40 band right now. They're doing balance changes for 25 band, but they're working actively on stuff for the 40 band. So some of these changes aren't necessarily because of what's going on right now. It's because of what's going to be going on in the next bracket. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is just if you are like confused about a change that you see, it might not necessarily be because of what's going on right now. It could be because of future implications for stuff they're doing coming up.
Mhm.
And then the Druid Star Surge change confused me. It was nice because I, was using it and it hits really hard. But Star Surge is, I think that it was already fine the way it was, and Balanced Druids did need a buff, but I don't know if this is the correct way to buff it, because Star Surge already has a 1.0 spell power modifier. So they
It
get
also
100.
only costs 4 mana. What's up with that?
Yeah, it's the mana cost is drastically reduced. It was already pretty cheap. Like Star Surge for me was cost 1 mana until I got to like level 16, and then it was 2 mana. And now I'm level 22 and it was like 4 mana or something like that. Like it's not a very expensive spell at all. It hits really hard. At level 16, I had a Star Surge crit for like 220 or something like that, which is nuts for level 16. So like they massively increased the damage of Star Surge and reduced the cooldown to 6 seconds instead of 10 seconds. So it's easily like the most important spell in a balanced Druid's rotation right now, which is kind of interesting that it's a brand new thing that is the most important. Kind of falls in line with a lot of the other stuff that a lot of the other classes got that's new. It's like the new thing is the best thing. But I don't know if Star Surge is the right thing to do. I don't think that was the right change to make, because Star Surge already in full bis, like they're basically they're gonna have to nerf it in the future. Like 182% damage buff for right now probably made sense, but in the future, like that's gonna end up having to get nerfed, because Star Surge is gonna do a lot. Like we were in that Dead Mines yesterday, Bob. I did like 2 rats and a Star Surge, and I was like what, level 17 or 18 or something like that, and I was ripping threat off of the level 25 tank with at level 18 with 2 rats and a Star Surge. That's how hard Star Surge was hitting.
To be
That's
fair,
with no spell power.
I don't know if he's the right spec or anything either. Like, so, because that's the same guy that told us at level 21 he hadn't put any talents in yet. So he's our buddy, but not the
But either way,
most savvy player.
Like a level 18 casting a Star Surge, like 2 rats and a Star Surge, like that's, I mean, who knows? I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe that is like not a good example or whatever. But like Star Surge got juiced, and it is a lot of fun. But like I could definitely see it needing to get nerfed in the future, because it was already pretty good. Like once you start getting spell power gear, Star Surge was already, before, like me and Go made a spreadsheet about like spell coefficients and the average damage with crit included and everything like that. And with how much spell power, like which spell was going to be the most efficient. And Star Surge at like 125 spell power, Star Surge already was the most efficient before the buff. And now it's even better. Now it's like twice as good as Wrath.
Have you tried stacking spell power with Star Surge to see how much damage you can do? Because like when I was playing with Boomkin, he was stacking Eagle Gear just to survive in PvP. But I'm wondering, like, if you went like that full on 125 spell power, how would that go?
You could crit like with 125, and now it's even more because of the BFD buff, the
Right.
BFD world buff. Now, if you had enough gear to have 125 spell power, now you have 150. With 150 spell power, Star Surge can crit for almost 600 at level 25.
Oh.
For 4 mana, by the way.
And what's the
Or 6
cooldown?
seconds.
Every 6
Yeah,
seconds?
what's the cooldown?
So
Jesus.
if you get really lucky, you could have a it's basically, if it crits, you're looking at 100 DPS from Star Surge alone.
What's
Damn.
crazy, what I learned from Jeffrey last night, you can cast the whole fight. In Warsong, most casters, they have to drink every so often. The Boomkin never drinks. They are full damage every second of the fight for 25 minutes straight, 50 minutes straight. No breaks, no
God.
interruptions.
Yep, just pot shots with Wrath and Star Surge.
That's crazy.
And so I'm making a Boomkin as we speak, off camera.
Yeah, Boomy was definitely slept on. I think Boomy with some gear, like we already see the difference. If you look at like on Warcraft logs, like the class rankings and stuff like that, Boomy went from the second lowest to now the top caster.
And might become like Well, once they get Boomkin form, they can't heal in form. But right now you could possibly have one as an off heal. Like,
Yeah, you could pretty easily, like, instead of putting Sunfire on your gloves, you could put Wild Growth on your gloves, and then just have Wrath, Moonfire, and Star Surge, and then be a healer. And you maybe even cut Moonfire out. Instead of Moonfire, just have Fairy Fire, and you're only casting Wrath. You're hard casting Wrath and you're Star Surging on cooldown, and then when people need heals, you hit them with a Wild Growth, and then you keep up Fairy
or
Fire.
an instant heal too.
Right.
Kind of put them in line with mage healing.
I mean, I could see it as like druids becoming like raid healers that contribute like in a non-insignificant way on DPS, but are just focused on raid healing, and then have a different healer be tank healing. Like you could have like a priest worrying about single target heals, and then the druids could handle the group heals. And then the druids are also, when the group doesn't need healing, the druid is just DPSing.
It's really hard going back and forth between Wrath and SoD, being a priest in both. Because I'm like, I'll get back into SoD and I'll be like, shield. Nope, I'm out of mana. Damn it, wrong one.
Dude, I try to cloak all the time. All the time I try to cloak, and I can't.
It honestly made me, like, playing with Wild Growth and SoD, it made me want to try Resto and Wrath to have access to Wild Growth and Wrath.
There you go.
I think it's better in SoD. I don't know if the range is the same. It's 40-yard range in SoD, which is amazing.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, it's definitely a little different from the Wrath version, but still, like, it feels cool. I even like the way the icon looks. The icon looks cool too.
Oh yeah, it's our favorite ability for sure.
All right.
But yeah, that's like a lot of those class changes that we see in that particular article that you're talking about, Bob. Like a lot of that is balancing stuff and also future proofing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the hunters just keep getting changed all around. Like they'll be changed by the time you hear this podcast. There had to be some stuff adjusted, but I guess from what I understand now, the adjustments that they've made have just made it so you're going back to wolves and cats in Classic and not using all the cool new pets. So that part kind of seems like kind of a bummer, but I'm sure they're still working on it. So everybody like freaking out, like just give it some time.
Don't quote me.
We're in week 2, guys. We're in week 2.
Yeah, it's week 2. There's still, there's plenty of time for them to figure it out. Don't quote me on it, but I think BM hunters are using wind serpents at the moment.
Maybe, but probably for like, I don't know. The melee hunter sounds really interesting. I don't know. I'm making a hunter next. That's the one I'm making. But so already got it made.
Wash Tapani is the wind serpent of choice because it's already level 25. So you can actually have a level 25 pet if you tame Wash Tapani in Southern Barrens. But also,
I wish that was public information because I keep playing Warsong with hunters that have pets that are like level 18.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be a good game for sure.
The thing is, unfortunate,
well, then you learn Bite 4 from the spiders.
You can learn it from the bears in Ashenvale too.
And then spiders and Hillsbrad, you can learn Bite 4 from, and then you can teach it to all of your pets. I don't know. I was watching Sarth. He was talking about it.
Yeah, the Wash Tapani thing is rough because like you can kill Wash Tapani and get an item that starts a quest. So like that's a pretty good source of XP while you're leveling. But if there's hunters that are trying to tame Wash Tapani, then you can't get a kill. Like you have to layer just to get a kill so you can do the quest.
Damn.
Come on now.
Damn. All right, well, we'll have all the information in the show notes for you guys. Next, Stormwind Supply Officer now is selling your rune at friendly instead of at honored. I think this is a great change. Another change that goes along with this, guys, is it's also, I don't know, I think half price. It might just be, either way, it's like a couple gold less now to purchase it than it was before.
It was 5 gold. Now it's like, it's definitely
I think it's 3 maybe, or 2. I don't know. But also the rune from the guy in Ratchet has been decreased in price. And Blizzard, I want my refund. I want my tax refund, and I want it now.
Oh, you don't get it because you were sweaty and tried to do it early. It's all of us, nice people that didn't actually need that rune very much that are getting lucky now, and that's okay.
Yeah, we deserve something for being lazy and not doing it.
I
That's-
Just like
we
once
deserve
they
free stuff.
forgive,
I want my
once they
$2.
forgive,
I want
it's
my
like once they
$2.
forgive student loans, right? Like once they like put that out, everybody who is like really good and paid all their student loans is going to be really pissed, right? But they're not going to give them money back. So
I just want my
deal with it.
$2, and anybody who gets that movie reference, you're awesome.
I feel like maybe instead of, I think it was probably like what you're saying, Mel. It's probably on purpose. It's an experiment. It's a social experiment that they're doing in World of Warcraft to figure out how it's going to go when they do that in real life.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's a good change, a really good change. Honestly, I was thinking about it whenever we did it, and I was like, well, it just makes sense if they use this for one rune each phase. It just would make sense. Friendly, phase 1, honored, level 40, revered, level 50, exalted, level 60. Like that always made sense to me.
Does that imply they didn't have a planned rune for level 60 with it? I guess so. There must be frantically changing it now.
I just thought it was like for alts. Like I didn't even think about it from that angle at all. Like that makes a lot more sense than the alt friendliness thing. It is cool for alts though. Like my
Yeah.
Well,
the
not
Druid
even
Crusader Strike is already friendly. I could already. I mean, it's only skull bash,
Table.
but like
Table, you just like you say alts, but like you gotta remember we're not normal people. Normal people, like, did you see I didn't have it in the news because we just had way too much. We would have had twice as much if I would have put everything in here. But the numbers came out. It's on the Warcraft YouTube, and the majority of people are not level 20, 25, and only like 10% of people have cleared BFD 7 of 7.
Really?
It might even
Yeah, I
be
did
less
see
than
that.
10% that have cleared 7 of 7. But
it was like less than 1% of players have all 12 runes.
yeah, it's like most
Yeah,
people are
but,
not us.
Like I could have all my runes. I don't have all my runes because I don't plan on going shadow, so I didn't prioritize getting.
Yeah, I held
That's a
off for
great
a
point.
while.
A lot of the runes are not like the last rune is usually not like the most relevant one, and with some exceptions. But like if you don't want to tank on a rogue, you don't have to get main gouge.
But I don't have
for
to
example.
get. I've got 9 runes on the druid, and I don't have to get anything else. Like
Right.
to
That's what I'm saying.
do Pharaoh. But aid station like does make a good point. Like how many of those are active characters or people that have leveled up to like leveled their bank alt to level 5 for engineering? Like
Right.
any character
Or
created.
just ankles.
Like I wonder what their stipulation is for characters being able to like be added into that, because like do you do everybody? Because then it could be anybody who's just logged in on a level 1. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, we'd have to know the actual parameters to understand, but still.
Yeah, like to your point, like there's runes that you don't need. There's
Mhm.
like if you're not going to perform a particular role that your class is capable of doing, if you have no intention of doing it, like a shaman who is only ever going to tank and maybe DPS sometimes might not care about getting healing rain. A druid who's only going to do damage or tank might not care about getting wild growth. Or
Right.
in my case,
Especially
I
if
was
you
holding
don't
off
want
on
to be
getting.
asked to do that
Yeah, it's
other
the same as
responsibilities,
like
right?
it's the
like,
same as
I don't know
learning
the rune.
certain learning certain things. Like like I didn't even bother learning a lot of the things on my druid and wrath because why? I was gonna be feral, and so like I learned the few heal spells because I will cast those, but like I don't give a shit about wrath. Like I didn't, and wrath, but like I just I still like my character still has shit to learn, and I'm just like, well, I'm not gonna learn it because there's no point. So
yeah. Or you could be like me and like hold off on getting skull bash so I'll never get asked to interrupt because I can't.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's like, oh, you want me to go shadow? I can't because I don't have my runes.
Oh, sorry. So sorry.
If you want to wait for me to grab them, I can try and do that. It'll take a couple hours, but I'll do it. Team player.
Like when you're a kid, doing bad at a chore on purpose so they never ask you to do it again.
Yes. That's also just a man thing. Let's be real here. Come on.
I didn't know I was supposed to mow over the flowers. My bad.
Right? Bobby's like, oh, that was the clothes you weren't supposed to dry. I'm so sorry.
As I hold up the little, like, action figure-sized blouse of hers.
That's funny.
Been baked into solid plastic.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's definitely cool. I think it's definitely the way to go. And it would have been so cool to have that on my rogue. Like when, I still think the farm for the Ratchet one, I think everything's good on that list except for the salvaged parts from the guys, because there needs to be more of those guys that we can kill. Like there's just not a lot of the because as far as I know, they're only in Stone Talon.
It's only Stone Talon.
The guys that drop you need
I had a real sad time going all the way out to Westfall to try to get them from those guys, and they did not drop them. You couldn't do it.
Oh, the Harvest Reapers.
Yeah, I will say that there is a quad spawn of the Reapers or the Shredders. That is right. There's like a tree off on the east side, and there's a quad, like where the quest marker is with Questy. There's like a quad spawn, and you get the XT as well.
It's the quest marker for the
quest I've never done.
The protection quest. It's not an escort, but it acts like an escort where you protect the guy inside.
Near that area,
thing.
there's a quad spawn.
Yeah,
and you can lock it down and get all 4. And hopefully, some people, when people are leveling, you can actually steal their shredders,
dude,
and just loot them, which is really fun.
Guide MMO put out a hilarious one, and I just want to do it to somebody just once. But basically, you let somebody kill one of the shredders. You immediately sap them. Then you use your little combobulator thing on it, take the fucking item, and then just run off.
What's even crazier than that is that...
Wait, what are we talking about, though? Like, which...
So there's an item called the Shredder Auto Salvage. You can use it on the shredders when you kill them, and you can get these turbochargers, which are you need 20 of them, I think, or maybe 15.
I think it's
16.
20.
Yeah, something like that. You use that. You give them to an NPC called Grisby, and he will give you one of your runes.
He has one rune for everybody. I think yours.
The really weird thing
is
you don't have to have killed the shredders to loot the item. It's like an engineering salvage. And so it's actually technically impossible to not loot it faster if you're the one who didn't kill it, because the person who killed it has to loot the mob first, as far as I can tell, or at least it's equal speed. So you can steal people's shredders by just standing next to them and waiting for them to kill the mob, and then you salvage it instantly.
Yep. And then, if it's opposite faction, you see them loot it, and then you just sap them.
Yeah.
So what if you're not engineering, though?
Because I think it's still like skinning, where they have to have looted it, right? I think so.
I think so, because I was always winning when I was stealing it from people. They got really mad too.
I mean, it makes sense. I feel like maybe that would get cut down a little bit if it was like actually like 100% chance to get the item when you salvage it, because right now, or make it so that you
just more places to go to do it. It would be better.
More places to go. Make it 100% chance to loot it when you salvage it, or even make the salvage unit not a consumable item. Because right now you have to make one for every one of those you want to salvage. You have to have one salvage kit. So if it's just like, how like for engineering you can make like your Arclight spanner or your your gyro mechanic adjuster, whatever the hell it is, the screwdriver thing. Like, just have that be an additional engineering item that is part of your like toolkit or your toolbox or whatever, and it doesn't get consumed every time you use it. And that way it's not like a pain in the ass to go get more or whatever. Because if you bring like a bunch with you, you just get really unlucky and not get enough, and then you have to go make more or whatever. If it's just 100% chance for it to drop and or make the thing not consumable, then like it just removes. But like,
I'm not sure about that, because like, so I was thinking about this. And I don't know. Man. I don't know if it was Blizzard's intention. If it was extremely smart and forethought. But there's 1 billion gold sinks that we kind of needed in vanilla in Season of Discovery. Like, there's a ton of gold sinks from anywhere. Like, basically, the things where you make materials, like that's basically a gold sink, except for the ones that use things that no one ever would have made, like, 3 swords, that no one would have ever
The
made.
ornate spyglass being a weirdly good moneymaker is fantastic. I love that.
Yeah, like
people actually, because what I've realized is people have stopped. They're not gonna skip a box. They're always gonna try to fill it now. So you can make a ton of money from like the weird things to fill a box with.
Yep.
They're the best gold makers, just making weird items.
If you fill it with like something that people would use, that it is a gold sink in essence, basically. Yeah. But then like there's also just buying the runes, gold sink, the different bags on the different things, gold sink, buying when we would have never bought Warsong Gulch gear, gold sink, the Ashenvale mount, gold sink. All of these are really good gold sinks that we kind of needed. So this is kind of a weird thought I had the other night where I wonder if they planned that or if it was.
They don't feel obnoxious though, in a way they could have easily felt like really bad.
Oh yeah, yeah. Talk about respecking. I don't think we've covered that. Caps at 1 gold. Thank God.
Yeah, that'd be rough. That's like, it's interesting how that used to be the gold sink, and they
wasn't a very fun gold sink either.
But yeah, and
it was one that people just wouldn't really do it. Like because I said that forever. Like the gold sink, it's not a gold sink because it's too expensive. If it would have been cheaper, it would have been an actual proper gold sink because people would have done it.
Yeah.
But we don't have dual specs still, and
that'd be another gold sink.
I don't want dual spec.
I think it is interesting to have to go respec, because then like if you have dual spec, like there's you right now the way it is if you're in your raid spec and you're going to raid, you're trying to avoid world PvP, and that provides interesting opportunities for other people that are like, all right, we're going to try and snipe people who are on their way to the raid because they can't do anything because they're not PvP spec right now. So
no one even called me out on me saying I don't want dual spec.
He doesn't want dual spec. No, I'm just waiting for table to finish.
I've changed my mind after being in a speed run.
Seriously?
In a weird way, I kind of agree. And this is somebody who uses a different spec for open world as for raiding. Like I go Omen of Clarity Power Shift spec for raiding, but for open world, I go full feral. So I am spending at least 2 gold per lockout to go back and forth to my specs. And I think that that's fine because it makes an interesting decision. Like, do I feel like respecking this time? I might just stay raid spec and then just chill on the world stuff to, this lockout or whatever. Like, it's interesting. It makes it interesting because, like, if you're going to do that, if you want to continuously respec back and forth, you have to be out in the world doing stuff to make the gold that you need to respec again.
All right. So I don't want dual spec after like starting this whole like rabbit hole going down, thinking about how I need to min-max my character specifically for speed running. And if I wanted dual spec, I've always said I want it for an open world PvP spec. And like, I don't think it's fair that any guild makes like healer classes have a DPS and a heal spec. I think that shit sucks. I think it sucks for min-maxing PvE. I hate it. So I was thinking to myself, well, fuck, dude. I do not want dual spec at all because I won't get to have my open world PvP spec now. Like I'll have to do something else. I've changed my mind completely. I want 4 specs. I want your spec to instantly change to open world spec when you're in the open world. I mean, I could deal with three specs, but hear me out. I want a open world spec, a BG spec, a dungeon spec, and a raid spec. And I want you to have the little tab so you can set them all up prior. But it only changes when you zone into a dungeon, zone into a raid, zone into Warsong Gulch. That would be actually way better and less toxic than dual spec would be.
Well, yeah, dual spec has a lot of problems. If you have to keep switching spec in the middle of the raid, it's miserable. I hate that. I wish that wasn't even a thing. It's like you should only have one raid spec, but you should be able to switch specs without having to pay a ton of gold.
Yeah, and we can already swap runes. Like, so we're already going to be min-maxing that. So, like, don't make us swap specs in raid. Like, that's where I'm like, fuck, dude, I have to backtrack on.
Blizzard's
wanting
not
dual
making
spec.
you do anything. Blizzard's just
They are,
giving you a tool, and you're doing that to yourself. Like, I'm not
But
going
how
to go
cool
in.
would it be if you just had your spec for open world, your spec for BG, your spec for
Like you're
raid,
asking
and your
for
spec?
a lot now. You know, like you went from like, no, I don't want it to I want.
No, he wants it. He just
3
doesn't want to.
times
He doesn't want to switch
what-
spec mid raid because he's a rogue and he knows he would have to more than everyone else for some reason. Because that's what rogues do. They switch specs all the time.
Why? What spec would you switch to?
I don't know. You'd find a way.
It isn't really for the rogue. There'd definitely be like I definitely like swap up some stuff like I definitely swap some things up. There's some fights where you would rather have, you know, than slice of dice, you would rather have the crit on saber slash and stuff like that, like or the crit damage increaser, but it'd be very slight things. But either way, it's gonna become crazy sweaty with dual spec across the board. And I just think it would just be better and more healthy if we could just have our open world spec. And so that's what you feel comfortable with in the open world. Like if you're a healer and, you know, you want to farm and shit, like you might feel a little bit more comfortable with a weird hybrid spec, right?
And you're telling me you don't want to do rune swaps and then also do dual spec swaps and also equipment swaps on every pull and trinket swaps on every pull while you're doing Nomergon speedruns?
Yep. That's
I would
exactly
like
what
to
I'm
see that.
saying.
I want to see Bob get flustered.
Yeah, I want to see
Well,
him just
Bob
up
would
one
have
of
to
his
do
bags
it
and
way
being like,
less than anybody else, though. That's the whole thing. It'd be the poor healers and ranged casters that get fucked.
It's easy for you to say as somebody who doesn't have a mana bar, though. When you swap specs in Wrath, it dumps your entire mana bar.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And if you're speed running, that's not efficient. So
it depends. You don't know. Like I don't know. It's just.
I mean, now I'm thinking of stuff like if they put dual spec, quad spec, whatever, they put it in and it still dumps your mana, then you need any class who has the ability to, you know, the party mana regen thing. You would need them to swap in that rune real quick, then pop the thing to help the casters regen
so
their mana.
they have a leg rune swap. They swap to the leg rune for everybody to dual spec swap. They swap out of the leg rune again.
oh my god.
Then they have to swap. Someone else gives them mana. This all makes sense. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think that would actually, I don't know how hard that would be to code, but honestly, I think that would be the best option. It would give everybody what they want, and maybe some people would just have the same spec in all 4 specs. But if you want to relearn one of the specs, you know, you just go and relearn BG spec, right? Like, okay, well, today I want to try this spec for BGs. And then you're still set for fucking raid, which is in an hour, you know? So
I mean, at that point, they just might as well make it so you don't have to go back to the trainer to respec.
no, because that would be even worse. Then you'd be re-speccing mid fucking raid. Like, no, that'd be horrible.
You can only do it in a rested area.
Yeah.
Listen.
That would
I like
still
that you have dual
but
spec, but only.
don't you want to fight on the way to the dungeon? Yeah, like
Guys,
dual
how
spec.
much different can your spec be at level 25? Like,
I
don't
think-
you think
I think what I
dual
said is
spec coming
perfect.
in at level 40 or 50 could be fine? Like at level 25, like how many freaking options do you even have?
I think what I said is perfect. One spec
Of
for
course you
each
do.
version of the game, because they're all completely different. Open world, dungeon, instance, or raid, and BGs. Yep. I
What about
think
your
I'm
auction house spec?
objectively
You need
right.
to have a different. You
Your
need to have
auction
movement
house
speed
spec.
for the auction house.
True. What classes even have? Isn't it just
You got
just
your
druid and
Hunters and
pally?
druids.
Paladins and druid? Yeah.
Hunters have cheetah.
Oh, hunters do have cheetah. Yep. All right. Well, I don't know. I think that would be amazing. I would freaking love it, but it's probably way too hard to code in.
I'm just trying to think of awful ideas that would ruin the game and suggest them.
Yeah,
That's a
let's
great
have
idea.
triple spec.
What about undead paladins that can run flags and Avenger shield people?
I would like, no, I would like priests to get Avenger shield and travel form. I think
I don't
Travel
understand
form.
why priests aren't
Be
the
really
fastest
good.
class too. We should be
Yeah.
the fastest, the tankiest, the highest damage, and
yeah,
just the best healer too.
And rogues should be able to fly. I don't know why the fuck they haven't done that yet. Like, come
Druid
on.
should be able to use stealth.
Priests
with
are about
flag.
to be able to fly.
yeah, and resistant to stuns. Like we can't be stunned.
Yeah, why don't we
Just
have a
remove all
built-in
stuns.
stun resist?
Dude, people are going to clip parts of this. And oh, all right. Okay.
Make all city guards level 2.
We got to,
I like that.
I got to start going a little bit more rapid fire. I'm going to skip around a little bit and then I'll just rapid fire the last of the stuff off. But the last two things, well, really only one thing I really want to talk about. The other one's just going to be a link to a video from Jerome. But the first one is Darkmoon Faire is, dude, you have the, like, I'll explain it in a second, but you have the absolute best of this type of video. Hands down, I will take that to the bank. Darkmoon Faire is setting up in Elwynn Forest, and we've had confirmation we're getting Darkmoon Faire every 2 freaking weeks, dude. Which means you can do your freaking speed runs pretty much every lockout. There might be some weird things that happen because you do have to deal with that 6-hour in-game wait time to get another buff. But dude, how cool is Darkmoon Faire coming every two weeks?
You know, I was just ranting about how it only comes once a month and it makes the raid kind of sad because you only get to have 1 week of fun. And that must have, I don't know, they just telepathically decided to change it. It's great.
They were watching Jerome and
I don't think they
saying,
were watching, but I think
"Oh."
everyone had the same everybody agreed. It's just more fun more often.
Yep.
Except for my Darkmoon's, my storage box investment has really tanked. That was a disaster.
What do healers use for Darkmoon Faire, by the way? Because I remember it used to not be
I was
crap
using,
for them.
I think the spirit buff or either there's I think either an inner or a spirit buff, whichever one that is.
Yeah.
Which is
I just
probably
press
good.
2 and then I press 1 and then I just go in the raid.
Which is probably good right now. Because, see, the biggest problem of the healer buffs and the other buffs besides the 10% damage was always that they went by base mana. So at level 60, that was a worthless buff for pretty much anybody. Like, yeah,
I would
it
say we
improved
should
a
all
little
go
bit.
damage. So nowadays, in this parsing speedrun culture, probably everybody goes damage. You just try to kill stuff faster. So I should be,
And
because
just
that'll amp
off
up
heal.
my void plague.
Yep, just off
Amp
heal
up
and
multiply
everybody
too.
does damage.
Yep.
But it's super cool. It's super cool. We got to get
So is it back in what tomorrow?
it Monday. Boom.
Monday, yeah.
I
It'll be
can't wait that
L1.
long.
It'll be interesting because there were already people talking about like, oh, if we see any alliance in Mulgore for Darkmoon Faire, we just have to have dispellers ready
Oh my
and
god.
dispel their DMF buff before they can boon it. Like,
I'm surprised they didn't
Wait,
fix
you can
that
kill them
ready
before
in
they
era.
boon it. You can kill someone before they boon it, and then they can't get it for 4 hours.
No, you just I mean, basically we're all gonna do the same thing. We're gonna sit there dead. We're gonna like have somebody queue us for a BG, and we're going to have our little macro that does everything and takes us to the BG, and then we boot it in the BG, and then we slash AFK, and we're bada bing bada boom.
I love how you
This is what
say that
people
like
say
that's
when
what
they say chess is
everybody's
a
gonna
soft
do.
game.
That's
Listen
how
to Bob
everybody
talking
that
about
got
getting
it.
DMF buff like he's a normal thing to like get into a BG like that. Like that is so
That's what
advanced.
we did in that's what we did in vanilla every time.
Okay,
you're
well,
gonna have to on a PvP server.
Mm.
I'm gonna walk
Yeah.
in, take my buff, and walk away, and nobody's gonna
Yeah.
kill me. I'm not even gonna
Yeah.
boon it. I don't need to.
It's
I'm
harder
like-
for Horde to get DMF when it's in Elwynn than it is for Alliance to get it when it's in Mulgore at level 25, because there are guards. The Goldshire guards are close enough to
Mm.
Sage NPC that you get it from, that you'll
Oh,
aggro
the
guard.
aggro radius. Fuck.
Yeah.
I can't wait for my homunculus to kill some random innkeeper or something.
Oh no.
We'll go
Just
together,
kill all the
Jerome.
fair NPCs.
Stick our homunculi on everybody.
All right. Well, Jerome, if you die the first time, 6 hours later when you're ready to get the next time, just let me know and I will help you out and queue you for a
Oh, that's
a
very nice of
BG.
you.
You guys, can I just give a little... Okay, this sounds really stupid, but I feel like it's not stupid. Like, I didn't know where to get the Chrono Boon. Because it's different. You just get it from a region vendor?
Yep.
Like,
Any reagent vendor.
I missed
It used
that
to be
memo.
that you had to go to Chromie.
Yeah. I missed the
But-
memo that I could just buy it from a region vendor.
I'm
I was
such a
like,
And
rat
only
gamer
20
now. I
silver,
didn't
too.
even know how to use the Chrono Boon. I was like, so do you like press it twice or what? Like, because I kind of like after Classic, I just stopped playing Classic. So I'm not
Yeah.
a boon man.
To let everybody know, so I'll be getting Darkmoon Faire first, which is going to be a bitch because, like, you think that the BFD buff drops like every second, but then the time that you need it, it takes 5 to 10 minutes, and you have to unboon DMF, get the buff, and then reboon. If you boon, like say you have DMF booned, then you cannot just boon the other one into it. Like after you get it, you can't combine it. You have to unboon, get the buff, then boon the 2 buffs in.
Okay, but question. Could I boon both the buffs in one Chrono Boon and then get both the buffs again
Nope.
and boon them in another
When-
Chrono Boon?
When they're booned,
You have one
you
booned
cannot
already,
get.
it won't let you.
Yeah, you
Like
can't
you
get
can,
anything.
if you have like the BFD buff already booned, and then somebody drops another one while you have one booned, you don't get the buff. So you can't like boon one, like save one for later, and then run around with another one. You can't do that.
That'd be awesome, but you can't do it.
Bob is just hilarious though. So he's queuing into Warsong, trying to find a pre-made to beat him. And also when we're like 5 minutes from raid, he's waiting in TB, waiting for a buff. And everybody who goes to TB gets a buff within like 3 seconds.
Yep.
But Bob somehow manages to go for like 8 minutes straight without getting
it
one.
took 8 minutes. I was like, what the fuck?
The
Oh,
first person to not get it within
Oh,
5
God.
seconds.
Listen, you
also
do not
another
want,
thing.
You do not want to be able to boon multiple buffs multiple times.
I do want
because-
that.
No, you don't, because then you would always have to go into raid with enough boons to make sure that every time you died, you could rebuff from a saved boon. No, that sounds miserable. Like, you need to be punished for dying. Okay?
Oh yeah. That's what makes World Buffs fun is you get punished for dying. Although our poor tank was so discouraged after he lost his World Buffs early. I was like, it's okay, man. It's okay.
That was the saddest experience, just his reaction to that.
I know. I just wanted to give him a hug. Like,
Yeah, and then he had that situation where because he didn't have the buff, he just kept dying to other things.
yeah.
And it just, even though the first death was kind of my fault, by the end of it, he had died so many times from his own things that he had forgotten why he had died in the first place, which is sort of a healer like
Good for
trick.
you. Yeah,
Like a healer
100%.
trick.
You just keep letting them die, and then you're like, it's
Yeah,
just
it's
all
just
off.
slowly until they think it's their fault.
Yeah.
Also,
I will say when we were doing PFD, because it was my first time doing it, and I had done like the first couple bosses at BlizzCon, right? That was the last time I did PFD. And so we're going through, and after like the first 3 bosses, the leader would be like, every boss, he'd be like, anybody not done this fight before? And I'm like, yeah. And then like 3 bosses later, he'd say it again, and I'd be like, okay, can you just click yes for like all the rest of the bosses? Like I haven't done all the rest of them. I feel like I shouldn't have to say no every time.
So it was just 6 people or 9 people saying yes, we've done it, and you just saying no, and he keeps asking.
Yeah, every boss. I was like, well, it's not like I came in here and skipped 3 of them and then did this one.
You never know.
Oh. Hey, I
um,
mean, he was such a nice guy. I really enjoyed raiding with him, but it was just funny every time. I was just like, I'm sorry.
talking about the boon, we should probably let people know that the drums for 5% damage that you get from Ashenvale do not boon, which really sucks because just to let everybody else know, you can only get that once a week. Now, I have the charm sitting in my bag right now, but when I click it, it says you've done that quest. With a little research, I found that the quest is marked as weekly. So I'm hoping that it resets on server reset on Tuesday. It just does it like that. But I don't know.
That's what everybody's been saying. So it should reset on Tuesday.
I hope so. Not when I last got it, because that I'd have to then wait till like Friday, which would suck.
No, it did. It reset on Tuesday. It reset with the EU. EU reset is weird. It's not Tuesday. It's Wednesday, which I don't know why. But I was able to get another one like as soon as reset happened.
I was able to pick up the charm. I have the charm in my bag, so luckily I was still able to like pre-game that. And now they've made the change to where you can turn it in anytime, not just during the battle, which was a dumb thing in the first place.
Which helps a lot because it was like very annoying that like if you had a charm to turn in that you wanted to get drums, you had to like you basically couldn't participate in the first like half of the battle, essentially. Like you had to go get your drum and then you had to like try and make your way to one of the bases that hadn't been killed yet. So
what I would do is you would just get the charm, the first battle, and then just come back for a second battle and just be at the bonfire in advance.
But
it's
then
the only way
that,
you could do it consistently.
You can't really like it takes too long to get to any of the bases to actually help with it, and like by the time you get there,
on the Horde side, you'd be able to get from the town we have. The Horde side, you'd be able to definitely get to that first boss there.
You could Hearth, like if you said Hearth the Splintertree, you could get Drum and then Hearth and then get to a base or whatever. But like still, like it's more convenient to start at a base to help get a base down and then Hearth to go to the next base or whatever.
Yep.
I have a terrible confession. I don't think I've ever actually done Ashenvale the way the devs want you to. I just kind of run around killing people.
I've never done Ashenvale.
Well, I go and make sure that I hit the boss at least once, like at each of the bosses, because now you're going to get 400 XP for that. As you know, they're tinkered with the thing. Yesterday, the battle ran every 6.5 hours, and that sucked.
Yeah, people are not happy about that. They were real miffed.
Yeah, that sucked bad, and especially for me, who's so close to like having everything. Like,
but I've been traveling a lot, so I just have not gotten to play. I have not done the Ashenvale at all.
Well, the battles happen every 6.5 hours. It sounds like you haven't really been missing much.
Well, they made a change yesterday to say it's going to be 50% faster. That's when they changed the killing the bosses from 200 rep to 400 rep. So maybe it'll make it a little bit better, but you know, we'll just have to see.
The frustrating thing, at least for Horde anyway, is like there's like you can't get the final boss kill if there's still a camp alive, and for some reason, Blizzard needs to do something about this. But for some reason, the zone is too big for you to start at Zoram, like to one of the camps near Zoram, and then go do one of the other two, and then the final boss. You end up missing the rep for one of the camps because the zone isn't big enough for it to count you as having been close enough for one of the ones to have been killed. So like you hit a boss, you get the rep, whatever. You get more average rep by ignoring Zoram and hitting the other two bosses and then losing than you do by starting Zoram and getting a win. Or it's only like 100 more rep to get a win by starting Zoram. So it's like nobody
starting on west side.
Yeah, if you start west, like nobody wants to start west because you like if you start west and also lose, you get like 300 less rep than if you start east. And
I haven't ever started west.
Yeah, you should start west.
Damn.
Like everybody said Hearth to wherever, like for Horde you said Hearth Splintertree, start west, Hearth Splintertree, go to whatever base is still up, and then go Moonwell.
Ooh, I'll have to try that. Yeah, okay. My Hearth is set at Splintertree at the moment, but yeah, start over there. Hopefully get it down, warp to Splintertree, make it to the one in the middle, and then okay, I like that.
Yeah, and you can get to one of the other two fast enough so that you can participate in fighting the second base and then also go Moonwell. So you end up getting 800 from the two bases and then whatever from Moonwell.
Okay.
Or have a warlock summon you, like you You fight, you tag Moonwell, run away, exit combat, take the hearth or take the summon to the second base, tag that one, run to the third one, tag the third one, and then just
Oh
hope
my
that you win.
gosh.
That's what people were doing. They were tagging the
That's what
Zoram
Scott
boss,
AJ
and
was
then,
doing. He even admitted it in a video.
yeah, just tagged it and ran away and didn't help kill the rest of the way. And then if enough people do that, there's not enough people to kill the boss in the first place. So all you do is just lose slower.
Bummer. Well, we'll see. Okay,
Yeah,
so
being able to get the drum not during the battles is big. It's a big deal.
oh yeah, so the last thing I had was Winter Veil is now live in Season of Discovery and probably Wrath too. And in either version of the game, if you want to do all the cool shit, No Hit Jerome's gonna give me a link to his video. Really, guys, any of the holiday videos, he has the absolute best guide. It's short, sweet, and in the notes, you get his spreadsheet where you can click off the shit you have to do, which makes it so much easier to keep everything straight in your head. So he's going to give me a link after this. I'm going to have it in the show notes. And yeah, you're going to need to definitely check it out. He definitely does those the best of any creator that I know.
Well, thank you very much. But it's important to note this new event is very good for Season of Discovery. There's you can make about 10 gold in maybe 45 minutes if you have the fight pass already set up. And people are actually they're basically the quests, because you would basically get experience from doing these quests, but instead you get gold based on the experience you would have gotten. So for example, the Mets and the Reindeer quest gives you something like 4 gold for all the time you spend doing it. And you can people are selling summons for 1 gold out to Mets and the Reindeer, and you just death run over to him. He's by Andre Firebeard in Tanaris, and you just talk to him basically, and you get 4 gold for doing that quest. And then there's the Abominable Grinch quest, which is also super easy. You just have to get a couple people out there and do it. And so you make about 10 gold in maybe 45 minutes. So it's and if you have a bunch of alts like Bob does, you could make, say, 30, 40 gold this weekend doing that.
Yeah, it's super
And of course, another reason for me to be jealous of not having more alts.
Yeah, it was yesterday that popped in my head. I was like, why are people caring about this? This is a seasonal server. I was like, I get like wanting to get any buffs you can get. But then I was like, oh, but it's gold. It's gold that's going to be gone by phase 2. Like,
and recipes too. You could get, for example, the Edge of Winter, which is not selling. I got that unluckily. There's the Frost enchant for mages. And so there are some things that people are going to want. And they're all basically, unfortunately, everything pretty much requires higher crafting and enchanting than we have right now. But you give it a couple weeks, you know?
yeah.
Can I ask a question? Because
yeah.
before I was Alliance and we could get a little gnome elf pet. As Horde, do they still get little gnome elves?
Yeah, the little gnome elf pet was so cool.
I don't think I've ever seen a little elf gnome pet.
What?
I think it might be Alliance only. Because we died in hardcore and we died at 35. We were most upset because our little gnome pets were gone and we couldn't get them anymore on our new characters.
Well, I know you can get
Mastery.
the Santa hat from Kelris. So I got the green hat from one of the bosses, and you can get a red hat from Kelris. And that is just really fantastic that they added those in. It's a really cute touch.
I got the green hat that same day from Dead Minds.
Yeah, I was worried Sarth would be pretty sad because I took the hat. But
Sarth was like, you ninjas.
Yeah.
Sarth wouldn't fender that thing. It doesn't have stats on it.
Yeah, no stats for him.
This for RP set though.
Oh, do you guys using the gnome transformer to be running around as little gnomes, or you guys don't do that?
I accidentally auto ran into that when I was going to get on the Zeppelin outside of Org. And I was like auto running or something like that, like tabbing back and forth between stuff. And I tab back in and I'm a gnome. I'm like, who is messing with me right now? And then I realized that the thing was there. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Also, don't forget, I think on the 24th, we get to open our Christmas presents, or it might be after that. But it seems like we're not going to get anything good because the only things that are good come from higher levels. So unless they change
guys.
something, we're out of luck.
It's from the wrapped presents under the tree that you can open one a day for like from Christmas to like a
That's
couple
so
days
nice.
in January. You
As
get
an adult, we don't get as much for Christmas, so it's nice that they're still giving us stuff.
you can get summons a gnome companion wearing festive green winter clothes.
You know, I kind of don't want to open my present anymore hearing that.
It's so great.
It's so great.
It sounds
You have
like
your
a
own
Chucky
pet
doll.
mode. I know. I mean, who wouldn't want a Chucky doll?
It's mouth opens and everything, huh? So lifelike.
Yeah, and then also something I thought was fun. There's a Rune Cheat Sheet guide on Wowhead now, and you guys all bitched at Wowhead, so they've listened. But what they've given you now is a kind of thing like where you can kind of go down the rabbit hole and get as much hints as you want, you know. But you can get hints at like when you should be looking for this rune, at what level, in what area. And you can still go and find it on your own if you haven't looked it up and stuff. But it's just like, you know, hot and cold type of hints. So if anybody's into
who
that.
are we kidding? We want to know exactly where the rune is
I do
as
too.
quickly as we can get it.
That's what I said at the
just
start.
The spoiler reveal.
Yeah, everybody else was like, oh, I was like, dude, I want to know where it's at and get it.
If you're going to get a hint, you might as well just get told where it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're either all in
Has
or all
anybody
out.
here tried to get a rune guide for a rune and you couldn't find it? Because I had that happen to me with one rune, and I ended up having to go to a different area because it was in multiple areas, and I couldn't get it in the undead area. There was a rune, so I just gave up and went to the Duratar.
Which one? Mel might have gotten it.
It was a priest one that I don't know if it might have been actually Void Plague. It was something super easy. And I could not find an NPC for it, so I think the guides were lying to me.
Was it a drop quest?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those I feel like just suck in general.
It's surprising
Winky's been doing a good job compiling all the rune locations. It's cool that he's working on that.
It's surprising how many of them are just from drops. Like I
do you
was
think that do you feel like they are going to get more creative in the future? Or do you think this is more of like a trial run? Do you want it to get really weird and like every rune to be metamorphosis?
The rogue one to get Deadly Brew was the most epic thing ever. Do you know about
Priest
this?
Didn't have any of those. Because Mel and I we were just farming mobs for all 12 runes, basically.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what we had to do?
We had to find troll priests.
Yeah, we just had to like kiss each other in game, and then it would work. But don't ask Bob. It was just a thing priests do.
I was there watching. I was all watcher.
But you guys had actual quests, like epic quest lines?
Dude, so we had to go and pickpocket a thing up in that scaffolding up in Stone Talon Mountains.
I love that scaffolding.
We had to pickpocket certain mobs there. We get a little thing. Now you can only do it at level 20. We go turn it into the repair guy that's like right to the south.
Wait, the secret vendor guy?
Yeah. And
I need to make a rogue. That sounds amazing.
He has a repeatable quest where he gives you a explosive. Now, with your lockpicking high enough, I think you could do it without this. But you're then charged to go into SFK, and you can only do it if you're not in a party and you're the only rogue that's zoned in. You go and you blow the door open. You go down, open the rest of the dungeon in the room that looks just like your background, the jail. Then you have
my basement.
Then you have to proceed to pickpocket 2 different mobs throughout the dungeon, 2 specific mobs, and then you go right where the horses are, and you have to combine the 2 items and then open the trunk, and then there's your thing. It was like a Mission Impossible stealth run. It was fucking awesome. Like it was
I
like
really missed me because the only runes I got were basically just farm a random guy and then you're gonna get a rune, or like go click a dead guy and that's it.
yeah, this was like one of the most, I think it might be the most epic rune that they have put in the game. Like you're literally like going in there in a stealth run, and like I was just like, you playing the Mission Impossible music, and then, you know, you switching over to Macklemore going, this is fucking awesome. Like, I mean, it was just great. Like that type of shit, if they could add that shit in more, that would be great.
Listen,
I think they're gonna get super
we got
creative
to
and weird
climb
with
a
it.
tree.
Oh yeah, we climbed it. That was the really weird priest one, is that you had to climb a tree. And I, to this day, I do not understand how anyone found that legitimately. I feel like some tester definitely told somebody where that was, because
Dude,
there is
the
a
first
tree in the middle
day-
of nowhere
The
that
first
priests
day
just
there
have to
was
go
this,
click like a tiny little circle on.
yeah, there was the first like couple days there was this troll priest fishing in like the undead area, and I'm convinced it was like a dev or somebody that worked for Blizzard that was just there to help little undead priests understand how to get the runes
Oh,
that
it
they
had to
needed,
be.
because you had to have
I
both the buffs.
guarantee you that was Tim or Gred, or
It would honestly be so fun to be a dev, just like helping people out, like
Yeah.
secretly.
Yeah, because like, who in their right mind is a troll priest fishing at like on day 2 in the undead area? Like,
Yeah, because
No.
that first day, the priest stuff was so confusing. I went to
Yeah.
different graveyards and like I thought it was like you had to get buffs from all the graveyards.
yeah,
So I was like going across to different graveyards. That was not how that worked.
no.
Well,
And
yeah.
I was like, first of all, nobody, like, how would anybody figure that out naturally? Like, that was my thing. Like, there
See, I
should
think
be
you're supposed to read the
some sort
quest,
of,
but we've never considered doing that before, so it'll never happen.
but I don't even think there is a quest for these runes, though,
Okay,
right?
so
Like,
there
a quest in
was
Undercity
for
that
the
taught
one-
you how to do it that
Yeah,
nobody did.
The one that I told you
Oh.
about was the house right at the bottom of the hill, right outside SFK. There was a box there you looted. It gave you a note to go talk to somebody. Like
listen,
but the bomb was something separate. Like, but I think
But
you
that
could
wasn't
probably
in
do the
Rested
quest if you have
XP,
high enough lock
so
picking
how am I
though
supposed
too.
to know?
Has Rested XP given us an exact rune guide yet, so I can
They
start
have.
playing other
They
classes?
have.
Yeah, they have, and it's,
Yes.
and it
No
is
way, are
free.
you serious?
It is in
Yeah.
the free version. Yeah.
You're telling me I can just open it up and it'll just point me to all 12 runes in like 45
Yeah,
seconds?
it says rune guides, and you can
And you
click
can
on rune
choose the
guides.
different ones too. So you might want to, because like
Code reloaded.
for Rogue,
It's amazing.
yeah, for Rogue, like for Saber Slash, which really you kind of need as early as possible because it's rough as the Rogue early on because they buff the open world, which really hurts warriors and rogues. But if you get Saber Slash, everything just opens up and you're just like pumping. And the one that you get outside of SFK where you just have to use Sprint, that one's easy as pie. But there's another one where you have to have lock picking up to a certain thing. And so, like, if you're undead, you just get it pretty easy. As soon as you get Sprint, you run down there, grab it, and then you're just pumping. Like, so you kind of want to know which one you're going for because some have different requirements.
I think you just sold more copies of Rested XP than anybody this, in the last 5 minutes.
Good
I
Reloaded.
can't believe they have full
No
rune
Hit
guides.
Jerome
That's
and Table Slam.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
I wonder if the
It's
devs intended
wonderful.
for people to make full in-game add-ons for the rune collection.
Well, but this is free. I don't know if they'll charge for later runes, but it's in the free version that you just get. So the free version goes up to
What
level
rune
22.
would you pay money to get? Would you pay for Heroic Leap?
Ooh, Heroic Leap would be cool. Heroic Leap
Listen,
would be cool.
I can't
Or
level
y-
without rested.
Cloak of Shadows?
hmm
Mm.
Cloak of
When
Shadows
Sun
would be
came
really
out,
nice.
I would pay for Prayer of Mending.
Well, we already have it. I don't have to pay anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Cheat
But I
Death.
would have.
I don't know that I would Fan of Knives because Fan of Knives is boring. Like, Fan of Knives is so boring. Like, I love seeing the big numbers in Wrath, but it's fucking boring. Let's just be honest. It's one button. Like, it's boring. Like, you can min-max it, but it's still boring. I'd rather have, like, different, like, blade, like, where you're hitting multiple targets, cleaving and stuff like that.
Yep.
Or something for rogues, you could do something where it has a similar thing to Thunder Fury, where it jumps, you have like something like a bleed that jumps to multiple targets and stuff like that. Like, that would be pretty good. Well, guys,
if you could get anything on Priest, what would you get though? What would your
This is so embarrassing. I don't remember the name of the
rune.
spell, but the one that teleports people to you, right? Like the one that brings them to you. What is that called?
Leap of Faith.
Is that Leap of Faith? Yeah,
Like
people
like
are
a
rumoring
retail
that
rune?
might actually come in this version. Maybe they're just hoping, but
Wait, is that like a retail thing?
yes,
That's from Kata and beyond.
but it would
Oh,
bring people to
yeah.
you from like, I don't know, maybe 30 yards away or something.
People call it life grip because it's like death grip, but it's for on an ally.
Why would you do that though? I feel
If
like people would
somebody
get
is
mad
not
at me.
getting out of the fucking fire, you can move them out of the fire
Yeah, think
yourself.
about
But
a
I
warrior
don't.
that
I do not want
overextends
to
and
be
you just-
responsible for stupid people.
You now
that
get
stay in the
blamed if
fire.
you don't move them out of the fire for them. Now they'll flame you for
see,
not doing
that's
that.
what I'm saying. I'm like, listen.
Or you
no.
do shit like have like a tank that has like crazy burst AoE threat, and then they group up the mobs, do a bunch of burst AoE threat, and then you life grip them LOS, and then
They flame you for not life gripping them in time. Okay, I can already see this happening.
Yeah, Jerome, we need a different rune. That
Yeah,
sounds awful.
skip that rune now.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know what I'd want, to be honest, because he gave me prayer mending, which is really like my favorite.
Wait, yeah, you can grief people by jumping off and then pulling them down with you, and then you just levitate.
I mean, that would be fun.
That is so great.
Or you
Cloak
do
of
a double
Shadows.
thing. You can double grief people. All you need is 2 priests. One person jumps off a cliff and life grips the person you're griefing, and then the other priest life grips that priest back onto the cliff.
All right, Mel, we're doing that to Bob
We
when
got
they
this.
add life grip.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to do my part. Dead.
Dude,
we're both
there'd
dead
be-
now.
Dude, healers griefing DPS trying to parse would just like go through the roof, man.
Oh,
Like,
100%.
I would do it for sure.
I'd be like,
Because
I'd
it's
be like,
not like you
oh.
could just you could do like what we do, now in Wrath with Bop and stuff, where it's just macro to take it off in every macro. Like,
You also
sorry.
could just have
sorry.
anti-gravity with that. Like multiple raid full of priests jumping off a cliff at the same time, all life gripping each other. Nobody ever hits the ground.
that would be crazy. All right, well, guys, we've come to the end of our time. I'm going to start closing this out unless anybody has any last words.
I have one Winter Veil tip.
Okay,
You
sweet.
can get.
Oh, yeah,
you can-
yeah,
this
we
is something I
should have
told
done this.
Jerome.
Yeah, we should have done this.
I stole this tip so quickly. In the guild chat, he put it, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is in the video right now!" Bam.
You can get double mistletoe in Winter Veil. All you need to do is make a macro that's literally just /kiss. That's it. Just in the macro, just /kiss. Put it on your bar in a spammable bar slot. Go over to one of the revelers that you have to /kiss to get the mistletoe, and you target the first one, hit the macro, and then immediately target the second one and hit the macro again as fast as you can. If you do it right, the second reveler will turn to you to do the kiss thing before the debuff from the first one lands on you, and they will both kiss you, and you will get double mistletoe and 2 debuffs at the same time. So
The
you
best
can get
part-
every hour you can get 10 mistletoe instead of just
You're
5.
gonna have double the mistletoe to use on your guildies who never have any for you. So you'll just be there with no mistletoe, and it'll be perfect.
But the
I
best
have like
part
50 of it
is-
now. It's great.
mistletoe, as far as I'm aware, does not have a duration on it the same way that other seasonal event items have a duration on them. So if you every hour on the hour while you're in the game can get double mistletoe, you can have extra, the extra 20 spirit buff for people for as long as you want to have it for, basically.
What if they'll fix that? Like
I
they
bet they'll
did
make it
the
expire.
because they did the Valentine's candy where you used to be able to save those, like because they were only in game time, so you send them to a bank alt and shit, and then like it just never runs out,
Mhm.
right? Or even keep them on yours, and then they just like you You still have to go 7 days or 14 days or whatever it was of in-game time, which is quite a bit when we were at that point raid logging. So I don't know. They'll probably do something.
What NQT is saying in chat as well is, you can die and the debuff goes away too. So you can get double mistletoe, go to the top of the flight master tower in Thunder Bluff, jump off, die, res.
You
go
lose
to the revelers
when
again.
You die?
Yep.
You lose
what do you guys think about?
when you die?
We need at least like, how many priests do you need to push the DMF debuff off? Is it like 5 or 10? We need to go into Gurabashi and clear people's Darkmoon when we die in raid, so we can go back and parse.
Wait, who do I have to kiss?
The revelers in the inn. Go to any inn, and there should be 2 winter revelers standing there facing each other. Normally, you
don't kiss Table
one of them.
Slam. He will be standing next to them, and I did accidentally kiss him once, but there's the
Excellent.
revelers are what you want to kiss.
And then I gave you mistletoe.
Immediately.
Yeah, he did give me one.
Yep. He didn't ask you to slip him the tongue, though, Table.
Well, that was just part of it.
That was just the bonus.
He didn't ask, but that's what he got.
But yeah, just take off all your gear and have somebody ready to res you right next to the revelers, and then just get the mistletoe, go to the top of the tower, jump to your death, get res, do it again over and over and over, and get like hundreds of mistletoe and put them in the bank to use all year.
Damn.
I'm gonna be doing that with the drink for New Year's. Don't forget the unlimited slow fall drink that you get for like 3 days during that has no expiration, and you can farm like millions of it. I forget what it's called, but you'll see it for New Year's.
Lunar Festival is going to be fun with all the different the portal cheese that you can do. That's going to be fun, especially for druids. Just Moonglade port, and then like you never need a Hearthstone. Basically, you can set
That's a
your
very
Hearthstone
druid-oriented holiday. I don't like that.
Yeah, and you Moonglade port, and then you run over to the area and take whatever portal you want.
Wow. Okay. All right, guys.
Yeah, that's the mistletoe tip.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. You can follow the Mash Those Buttons Network at the Mash Network. If you want to email us, the address is wcrpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to join our new Discord and come hang out with us, it's Discord. Nope, it's warcraftreloaded.com/Discord, or go to warcraftreloaded.com for the link. How can you help us? You can go to warcraftreloaded.com, hit the Patreon link, or check the link in the description. That can help us. You can write a comment on YouTube and help us continue to grow on YouTube. That's about 5 to 10% of our audience now. So you guys have been helping a big time there. So comments, likes, subscribes, all like help with the algorithm. Hit that bell. For the audio podcast, you can give us stars on Spotify or stars and reviews on iTunes. I don't know if other podcasters and stuff have. I think Google has a review thing. You can do it there too. That'd be great. And yeah, Rested XP code Reloaded, Table Slam, or No Hit Jerome will help all of these people here and help you out, because Rested XP is pretty awesome. And then a tip for if you're using Rested XP, I would implore you guys, if you're starting from level 1, to use the hardcore version. It's going to be a little bit of a bummer because it's not going to give you the skips that you would be getting. Like, it's not the speed one, but it is going to have you do a ton more quests. Like, you're going to go to all the different starter areas, do the quests there, which at 25 is going to leave you with a shit ton of quests that are still green and up that you could just make gold off of. So
it's a good tip.
Yeah, not screw yourself for you could stop earlier and be fine. So I would recommend doing that. And then, I don't know. I think that's it, Mel, unless I forgot something. Where can we find you, Mr. Jerome?
Well, I was on the floor a lot in Wrath while you were doing the podcast. No Hit Jerome on Twitch is the big one, and also YouTube for the same name.
Okay.
I got through an entire Wrath raid during this, and hopefully nobody noticed. So
that's awesome. And Table Slam, where can we find you?
I'm on YouTube at youtube.com/@tableslam, and on Twitch at twitch.tv/table_slam. Somebody took the full word, so I had to use the underscore on Twitch.
Bastards. Mel, how about you? You're muted. Maybe that's because she doesn't want you to find her.
Yeah, I don't want you to find me. No, I'm just kidding. You can find me here on Twitter at MelOverwatch.
Okay.
That's about it. Or in the Discord, but you have to ping me because I'm really bad.
And you can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob, BLAZZIN_BOB, or you can find me on Twitch, BlazinBob, no underscore. All right, guys, let's get out of here. Great show. Thank you guys for coming.
Of course, always a pleasure.
I had a lot of fun. I learned some things. I have more things from Table Slam to implement. And
There you go.
Bob's actually teaching the guild about rogues now, and he has to teach us all about Deadly Brew later.
Hey,
the
guess
things
what?
that he
I
was
got
talking
the
about were over
10.
my head, but I will have to come back to them when I make my rogue.
Yep. I was actually wrong about Deadly Brew in the guild the other night. And I was so glad that I participated in the conversation because I learned that I had just not read it correctly. I thought to have the deadly poison proc, you had to have a poison on, be it insta poison, any poison on besides deadly. But it turns out if you have no poison on, you proc instant poison and still proc deadly poison. I just didn't know that. And so that was a huge, huge thing. So we're all learning constantly, and you just got to be open to learning, and we're all going to be wrong a lot too. Yeah.
It's like
I'm
literally
willing
just
to be
learning all the
very
time.
wrong. I love being wrong now because then people correct me.
Yep. And then my ignorance is cured. It's great.
There you go. Hey, Table,
And then when
how
we know
many
more than other
mistletoe am
people,
I
we
supposed
feel
to
better
get?
about ourselves. It's really fun.
What's that, Mel?
If I successfully do the mistletoe thing, how many am I supposed to have? 10?
10.
I did it.
Nice.
You're amazing. And
if
now
you did
just
it right,
keep
you'll
doing
have
it forever.
2 of the debuffs on you. If you did it right.
I do have 2 of them. Yeah.
Yeah, you did it. Nice.
And now just be really
And if I
sad
could
because
do
nobody
it-
will have it for the raid except you. And you can't use it on yourself.
And you're the one that needs it.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's
you're the only
unfortunate
one who
thing is
really
you
wants
can't.
it.
I was
Listen,
trying to get them
me
for
and Jerome
myself.
are going to meet up,
Yeah.
exchange mistletoe.
All right, Jerome, we just got to make sure we're in the same raid from now on. I'm going to go farm 600 mistletoe right now.
I'll farm 600 as well. We just have to keep the same amount at all times.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. All right, we'll see you next week. Thank you very much for checking out Warcraft Reloaded podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any future content.